having connection issues. Everything looks. Oh, we're on live right now. Shout out to everybody up in the room. Everybody in the room. Let me make sure that we get our notifications and stuff going on too. How you doing today, Coop?
Doing well.
Good, good. Okay, yeah. It looks like it's showing that we're live. I don't know if people are getting their notifications yet, but if not, they're coming. Whole lot going on in hip hop. A whole lot to talk about. But first things first. Up, we got Jordan House in the building. I think we
What
should
up?
update the people on those polls that we put out there.
Oh yeah, how's that thing going? Are we done? Let's go ahead
I
and
mean, do
close
you
it.
want to see that right now? Shoot, I'll go to the actual stats. I got my other
Yeah, let's
computer up.
let's pull up the polls and see what our overall score is now after the polling's done.
Well, all right. I'll go to the polls. Let me shout out to everybody coming in the room. People are coming in the room expeditiously. Sounds like we getting some you know what I'm saying, participation from YouTube's notifications or whatnot. I'm gonna go to the community section and we're gonna go through some of
And
these
see.
polls and let's see what it looking
Oh,
like. What it looking like. Which one you want to see first? Okay, the first one that I see.
I'm indifferent.
Which is the better song, A Million and One or Nas is Like? And Nas is Like is winning uh 86% to 14% with like 436 votes.
That's ridiculous.
Okay. But I mean, you probably expected that. I don't, you know, that's
86 to 14. No, I didn't expect that. I
that's a big
expected
one.
Nas is like the win though. That's fine. Yeah.
Okay. Warning is beating Mama Said Knock You Out 59% to 41%. That one
Tried to
has
tell you.
703 votes.
Okay.
So you know we're
So
dealing with a bigger pool of people here, and it's like the world is yours over Who Shot You 80% to 20% with 631 votes.
okay.
All right, and then we got Electric Relaxation over the Benjamins 59% to 41%, and that one has 451 votes. Peace to everybody in the room. Shout out to everybody in the room. We good. We good. Um, New York State of Mind over Juicy, 76% to 24%. That one has 925 votes.
It's a lot of votes.
Rock the Bells, 51% to 49% over Brooklyn Zoo with
Ooh,
548 votes.
close.
Brooklyn's Finest and Keep It Thorough are at 50%
We have a
each
draw. Right.
with 422 votes. So I guess it's 211 votes each, huh? Somebody want to
It's
go in there and
22
tip the
teams.
scale?
No,
It's in
nobody's
the
tipping any scale. A draw is a draw. No, we're not playing
a
that.
draw is a draw. Okay, okay.
Yeah.
Let's see if
That's
there's
what the
any
whole
more.
point of the polls is for. We kept the polls up longer. I didn't know they were still up.
Yeah, so I think the only one that switched over was Warren and being over Mama Said Knock You Out. And the rest of them kind of stayed.
In this
Uh,
in this draw, because Keep It Thorough was in the lead too, so that kind of went in the middle. So how was the rest of the tally going though? Because I pulled those 8 songs out, but how were the other 12 lined up?
I mean, I think they all probably stayed consistent. I hadn't looked at it. I have to go back and
No, no, no.
check
I
it
know
out.
those stay consistent. I'm saying like that makes that battle more plausible and closer to what I was saying because it was
Hmm.
like looking. You know what I mean?
No, I agree. It was looking a
Right.
little lopsided, and especially with
Right.
Keep It Thorough and Brooklyn's Finest being a draw.
Right.
That's crazy,
Okay.
man. With 422 votes, we got 50-50. I think we need a runoff on that. Now we can keep it a draw. It's cool. Look at me sitting, talking about a runoff. Somebody said something about Ti needs to snuff Charleston White. We wasn't even gonna talk about that today, but you know, I'll say this, in my opinion. You know, it's I think everybody's issue out there, and since everything's so public, is the fact that Ti son just gotta chill, man. That's it. It's like you can't. And my dad always told me, and he's 18. You know what I mean? Don't don't put yourself in a grown man's position. Like, your people gonna help you out and all that stuff, but you can't go out there talking about you gonna do this and that to a grown man and then fall back like I'm a kid. Can't do that.
That part of it is fair, but I mean, just this individual, I guess I've done a little backstory, not a lot. A lot is kind of known as an agitator and an intentional agitator.
Correct.
Would that be a fair assessment?
Yeah.
Of the person being described here? So this is like right in their pocket for some people, in terms of their feelings about how that person acquired their fame and notoriety, not necessarily for their, art or craft or work ethic. Or you get what I mean? Like the things that you normally get recognized for in whatever field that you may choose to dive into.
It's all entertainment, though, so he's entertaining to some.
Well, I mean, now, some people forge into like, how about this? For somebody that comes on here and says what we're saying about Black Star is slander, it's like, no, we're not doing slander. What's going on over there is slander. You feel what I mean? And that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So, and so, both sides, I would say, need to be careful about how they carry things because, both of them on both sides is going to do that with the wrong person one day, and it's going to end up worse for both parties involved. And here what I submit to you. Saying that to an 18-year-old is more than a plausible, impatient type of thing that I don't mind doing it. Saying it to a grown-ass man for real is another thing too, Mike. So you're right about the assessment about how the 18-year-old can't like be puffing chest out and then falling back saying I'm a kid. But why is the grown-ass man getting involved with the 18-year-old though? You feel what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, do we play those types of games?
I agree.
Right. Like, we don't talk about a lot of the younger artists because we're also kind of like, if we critique them, it's going to kind of seem like we're picking on them. And it's like, well, why are we talking about the kid anyway? Like, they're a kid. Let's give them time to grow. And as the music grows, we'll make an assessment more as they mature because hip hop is different. So,
what would you say?
That's
what
why I'm
would you
gauging
say?
the level of the attack, too, even though T.I.'s son is not necessarily, blameless in this situation.
Yeah, not to cut you off or anything, but what would you say as a 41-year-old man if a 18-year-old said he would whoop your ass? What do you say in that?
I mean, truthfully, me, because I'm competitive, first I would laugh, and then I would think that 18-year-old must think a lot of me because they probably should be able to whoop my ass. So that must mean that you think something of me. But I'm a different type of thinker that way. You feel what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. I'm like, I'm all into that and like, oh yeah, and not threatened by that, like excited by that and look at it from a different angle and perspective. That's that's how I look at it the same way as like if an 18-year-old that I work with would come up to me and be like, hey, you and me, old man, let's see who can get the 50 push-ups first. You feel me?
That's different. That's different than, just being competitive in that way as opposed to...
No, I'm just saying, I try to look at things through those lenses because I feel like that's a more healthy way to look at it than looking at it like, oh, fuck this little nigga.
Well, I think the other part of it, too, that people are kind of seeing, live and, and up front in their face is that, King seems to have a certain level lack of respect for others. I mean, we saw that in the whole Waffle House incident and, him basically acting like he was above those people who were hardworking people. You know what I'm saying? And I would imagine to a certain extent, many of them were grown as well. So I think that's the pattern that, even outside of Charleston White's involvement, that makes it where people aren't empathetic to, what's actually going on here. This isn't a normal 18-year-old who we've never really seen out there, flexing their shit in this situation. So I think that what a lot of people, and again, it's really nobody's business for real, but it does become the public's business when a person, again, goes in a public setting like a Waffle House and, chumps off everyday hardworking people. But I think what a lot of fans would like to see is, an artist that they've supported on many levels and even supported the family show to actually condemn some of the things that his son is out here doing publicly, But again.
Well, like I said, he's not blameless, but he's also 18, and I'll tell you this: to be an 18-year-old black male is to be like inherently confident and overly confident. I feel like to a degree, and I think we can both speak to that level of feeling invincible at that age, and that is definitely magnified when you come from a substantial amount of money like he does. And so I'm not saying he's blameless. I'm just assessing all things. And my final assessment of it is that, well, he is 18 and therefore and thereby accountable, but also still more coachable than the other grown man involved. You know, like if it's a teaching moment, he's the teachable one, which means if you're in this moment and you're at fault too, but you're grown enough that it's not a teachable moment, that means you shouldn't have been in that situation to begin with yourself. I'll say that as a grown man too, who's put himself in a few situations, Mike, in the last few years. As a grown-ass man, I'm ashamed to put myself in about my decision-making. Like, it's not okay to put yourself in certain places, situations. Yeah. I'm dealing with a situation with the job that I just left, quite frankly, because men my age are behaving a certain type of way towards women who are young enough to be our daughters. And I'm not with that shit because they're closer to my daughter's age and I'm a father.
Right.
Right.
I think that, I mean, you know, it's one of those things, though. It's like it's a teachable moment, but who's going to do the teaching and who's responsible for the teaching? Because once you feed the trolls, I mean, you're out there now, like you said. You know, Charleston White's kind of a troll is what he does. And so once you buy into that and play into that, he got you now. Now it's back and forth on the net type of thing.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, yeah, I hear you.
Yeah. And, this is the thing, too. And, I'll say this and we can move on. I think that when you are a public figure and your children are out here kicking up dust, you got to understand that, you out here representing the family. And when people see you, literally, they see me. So when people see, King out here doing whatever, posting whatever, they see T.I., they see Tiny. They just do, and whether that's fair or not, it's what it is. And, that's the thing. That's the only reason why these blogs are even posting it is because, and we posted it too, is because he's T.I.'s son and he represents that. That's the only reason why people are interested.
No, and that's true too. And this is some of what comes, it's different to be, that's why they say rich and famous.
Yeah.
Because you can not be rich. Like, King's not really rich, but he's famous. Okay?
He feels rich.
Huh?
He feels rich. That's what he told the Waffle House people when he pulled out those stacks of money on them.
Okay. Mommy and daddy can cut that water off in a second and you're not rich, which means you were never rich to begin with. You feel what I'm saying? They're rich. Your parents are rich.
Yeah.
And to be
I don't
quite
think
honest
he's been taught that,
though. So, and this is what I mean. I'm not trying to condone the character.
Right.
But I'd be damned if privileged ass white kids ain't been behaving this way forever and come from famous clientele and stock and it never gets reported on the news. You feel me? Or it's almost looked as a joke when the white elitist and white wealthy do this. Like if Paris Hilton and Nicole Richie were to do this, you know what I'm saying, back in the day with their show, it would be like for fodder and sarcasm. But when King does it, it's a problem. Like there is a juxtaposition about it, about when a black male asserts his eliteness, albeit wrong, the perception of it. I told you, it's like the only problem with Obama, Mike, for white people was really the fact that they had never had to take orders from a black man before, so they didn't know what the fuck to do. You know what I mean?
Did they actually take orders? Never mind.
I mean, in their mind, like this is what I'm saying. That's really not even what he was doing, but fundamentally in their mind, the thought of a black man ascending to that authority inherently bothered the shit out of most of the white populace here, or at least half of it, just because commander-in-chief, a black guy, like, oh no, they're not ready to deal with that. And so you're not ready to deal with this 18-year-old black kid, speaking like a rich white kid, because that's really how he sounds. He sounds like a rich-ass white kid.
Well, you know what? This is one of the things outside of, some of the verbiage. I feel you. And like you said, these things wouldn't be reported on clearly if it was the other side. We've even seen that in rap. I didn't know that the Eminem was in the hospital and all of that stuff when it came to overdose and all that until I read the XXL article. Now, every time Kanye gets admitted to the hospital for anything, we know something. So the coverage is different.
Yeah. I mean, the skew is different when it's us. And so
Tom Hanks' son was wilding too. Yes.
So there's part of me that's like, oh yes, this is very problematic. But there's another part of me, but it's like, oh, I'm glad we got some rich ass feeling 18-year-old black kids around that are kind of, like, I'm glad that this exists. This is a first world problem, so to speak. That we're talking,
but they're wilding out
about, on. No, think about this. We're talking about a rapper's 18-year-old son who's really just behaving like a white elitist rich kid would.
But he's wilding out on other black people, though. He's wilding out on other black people, though.
I'm not okaying the behavior. I'm just telling you fundamentally what's going on. If we were to do a comparative analysis, it's like, oh, I know plenty of 18-year-old white boys who behave this way, and it's never a problem because it's okay when they do it, because it's okay for them to come for money. It's almost like it's not okay for him to exude this sort of behavior. Like, we don't know what type of money he come from. Like, we don't know who his father and his mother are. Like, we don't know what their behavior has even been like at times. Stop acting like this is surprising. When white people do this shit, it's okay.
Mad Max said something about...
kids do this, it's okay.
Mad Max says he knew about Eminem's overdose, though. I think that we knew about those things when it came out in music. I don't remember any reports about Eminem being admitted into the hospital for drug anything. Have you ever seen anything like that flash across your screen?
I do remember it getting reported by Double XL or The Source at one point.
I mean, like on the news. Can you imagine if Kanye West overdosed on anything? That shit would be everywhere.
It would be, but also, too, like, and this is what I mean about we have to be fair. Now, Eminem hasn't been out here seeking the spotlight really necessarily the way Kanye has, or as long as Kanye has.
He's still the highest
seller. Self-inflicted.
I think he is still probably top 3 most famous rappers ever, though. Like, you know what I mean? Yeah.
He doesn't generate the type of pub and hub that Kanye does. Nobody does.
Nobody does. But I think that maybe Kanye might be an extreme example, but even if Snoop Dogg or somebody like that, it would be everywhere. It is what it is.
No, you're right.
It almost feels like they're covering up this stuff.
In Snoop's case, we'd be like, what the hell else was Snoop doing other than smoking weed? Like,
right,
damn.
Right.
But no.
Yeah. So, I mean, the coverage is just different. I mean, overall. And I think we
know the coverage is different. So if you want to audit the behavior based on that, I'm sorry to cut you off, Mike.
No,
if you want to audit the behavior, because we know inherently that the expectation is different as us as blacks, and the media perception and skew of it is going to be different, then yes. But don't tell me that it's like not okay to have rich ass entitled black kids running around when it's been going on the Anglo-Saxon side for pretty much since this country's inception. It's about time for some damn balance.
People talking about Eminem don't put himself out there like that. Out there like what? I don't get it, man. I don't understand not only the double standard when it comes to Eminem, but we justify it at every turn, it feels like. And speaking of which, speaking of double standards, he still hasn't responded to this incredible diss record that's called The Black Slim Shady. And I know people don't want to admit, what's going on, and people want to act like this song never happened, but it happened. It's a real song. It's a real diss record from a credible MC who hasn't gotten a response and probably won't get a response because there is no response to give. Because, on the other side of that mountain is a 300 bars and running, and he doesn't want any of that smoke. Let's just say it like that. Eminem doesn't want any smoke with the game. Say it with me, Eminem apologizers out there. Eminem doesn't want any smoke with the game. The truth will set you free.
But how did we get here? How did we go from talking about T.I.'s Son King to Eminem not wanting it with games?
I'll find a way, I'll find a way to connect those dots, Got to do it.
All right.
I mean, we got to remind people. I don't want people to forget. It's easy to forget out here because people are trying to make you forget that this is going on. I listened to that record the other day. I think it's one of the best 15 disc records I've ever heard.
It's making my top 15.
I
Now, matter of fact, it's not making my top 15. I already know that.
think it's making my top 15. I think that again, he did something that's never been done.
I might make a diss records playlist and prove you wrong. Matter of fact,
people saying cut it out, Mike. No, I'm telling the truth. If he doesn't respond, he's not going to respond to it. I ain't even going to say if he doesn't respond to this. He's not going to respond to this. And clearly, he wants no smoke with the game. Now, he wanted smoke with Nick Cannon. He wanted smoke with Mariah. He wanted smoke with Everlast. He wanted smoke with Fred Durst. He wanted smoke with MGK. This guy, he doesn't. And which is fine. And I love the fact that, you know what I like about the diss record too? He kept it on wax. This wasn't about, oh, Eminem don't want to get involved with the street shit. It's not about any of that. Game kept it on wax. He talked about rapidy rap stuff. He didn't talk about what he was going to do to him like on some street shit or anything like this. This was about the bars. He ran from the bars. Jay Short with the super chat says, y'all see that Kanye conservatorship narrative picking up steam. They stole MJ, Prince, Kelly's music. They want their publishing back no matter what. They want their corners back, man. They want their corners back. Thumbs up in the chat. Thumbs up in the chat.
Trying to tell people. First of all, I'd like to let people know the Spotify 10% disc, the playlist is coming soon. It's going to be on Spotify soon. The 10% disc playlist, that's what the title of the playlist is going to be.
You got some disc records you jotting down?
I am jotting down a couple disc records right now. I know this one's not going to make it. Just because it's dissing Eminem doesn't make it top 15 either, Mike.
You know what? I might be overrating Eminem. You're right, because that doesn't give you any points for dissing Eminem, right? He's not going to.
That's when the records like Drop a Gem on Him by Mobb Deep dissing Tupac. It's a better rapper, a better song.
It's a better song, but is it a better diss record though?
It is. Drop a Gem on Him is stellar. Like to also remind you that 10% diss is going to make the top 15 diss records.
I think you need to listen to the Black Slim Shady again. Mel says that diss was easy to forget. Was it, or did they make y'all forget it?
First of all, I told you about these. Never mind. Like, first of all, these people want their corners, Mike. There's a bunch of Avon Barksdales running around. I want my corner. Okay? And they're very right. Like it's a very astute observation that arguably the three best male catalogs of the last 50 years of modern contemporary black music, and R. Kelly, Prince, and Michael Jackson are now, kind of like on some up for grabs for various reasons. One of them's just a nasty bastard who should have his catalog, though, Mike. But that's neither here nor there. The other two, we know what they really did to the other two, Mike.
Yeah, I've done even more research. It's a far
very problematic. You want to talk about something being problematic? The way Michael Jackson and Prince died is what's problematic up in this motherfucker.
Yeah, Esquire said question.
R. Kelly nasty ass is where R. Kelly need to be. Right.
Esquire says question. Do y'all rank the game higher than Eminem, all things considered? Technical ability, impact, creativity, originality, identity, classic moments, etc. I rank the game higher than Eminem, but I mean, all things considered, I think that Eminem's, I guess, I don't know what would be higher, maybe the originality and things of that nature. But when it comes to just straight up music, I think that the game just has a better catalog of music than Eminem. And if you disagree, think about if Eminem were to go up against Game in a versus and how that would go for him. Eric Terrell says, Mike, you acting like the Game song is No Vaseline. It don't have to be No Vaseline. It's a setup record. No Vaseline is a finisher. And see, it's different because No Vaseline is the answer. This is his Stillmatic freestyle. This is a setup. Then he's going to come with the
I was actually going to ask you, so I got two questions for you. Do you think this is better than the Stillmatic freestyle by Nas over the Paid in Full beat, or the Kiss the Game freestyle over the Put Your Hands Up beat by Beanie Siegel? Do you think that the Black Slim Shady is better than those two records?
I don't.
Those are back. Okay, then it's not making the top 15, Mike.
Okay, that's fine. You know the other one that's crazy? Jadakiss Checkmate.
Yeah,
That
yeah,
shit
yeah.
is crazy.
Don't what he
That
say?
shit
He
is
said he
crazy.
said, "Don't dance with me, dog. Your steps ain't right yet." Some shit
Everything
like
he
that.
said on there,
Yeah.
man, like,
It's very
smell of you
problematic.
like seafood. Um, you ain't get shot yet. What's your next album about? Like, he was going
Nothing. You can hear him saying
in.
nothing in the ad libs. It was
He was
hilarious.
going. Yo, how'd he start that shit off? Is he from Midwest or down south? Can't figure this clown out. Yo, man, Jada was going in on Checkmate. Mel with the super chat says, I'm from Detroit, not an M fan, just calling it what it is. I didn't like the record when I heard it. I was a big Game fan. He's just a cornball. You didn't like the record because you don't like Eminem's music. And he made it in the vein of Eminem's material. Esquire says, but you can't ignore the disparity in the rhyme skills. Is there a do you think there's a big gap between the skill set of Eminem as a rhymer and Game skill set as a rhymer? Is that gap as big as people are saying it is?
Not anymore. No.
Yeah, I know in the beginning, of course there was a gap, but we're talking about
I mean, see,
Game now.
people are
Because you got one
people
person who's gotten
people
much
try to
better and one
remember.
person that's gotten worse.
But listen, what I'm saying. People try to remember rappers, competitively speaking, based on what their best product is.
Yeah.
And so the Game, for most people, their best product in their minds came early on. That guy, there's a big gap between him and him. This guy, oh, hell no. Hell no.
Listen to Bigger Than Me, which he does kind of, channel his inner Eminem with that yin, yin, yin on a motherfucker. Listen to records like that.
For people that are talking about technical rhyming ability, go listen to the Game rapping on the Documentary 2 record, on the Documentary 2, the Primo track.
Yeah.
Or go listen to him rap on $1 in a Dream on the documentary on the Documentary 2. And you tell me that that's not technical rhyming. Like, even like the speeding up of the pace and the breakdown. No, like, people don't listen to Game. Like it's one of those things. It's like, you get so used to somebody having a certain type of game. Like, we had this conversation on the Patreon about the Freddie when they were trying to say the joint with Anderson .Paak and Raekwon was out of place. It's like, no, he's just not talking about, like, selling dope and being a gangster. And it's almost like you don't want to let him do it. Because it's like, when he does it and does it well, it's almost like it's not okay. And it's like, it is okay. When the Game does rap technically sound and kill shit, it's like nobody talks about it. Like, Mike, we can go to other evidence. Listen to how he's rapping on Ali Boumaier with Chains and Ross.
Crazy record. Fuck y'all mad at me, fo. Yeah. Nah, I don't think the technical disparities are as wide as y'all think it is. Now, if you want to talk about some nerd rap shit.
200 racks, no lie. True. He's even using alliteration and like literary devices on Ali Boumaier while doing the rapid time flow and slowing it down. He's got 3 different flows on there.
Somebody said Eminem would destroy Mike D. Stop playing. You talking about destroy me? No, he needs to focus on niggas who actually rap for a living. That's the problem. That's the problem. You gonna battle a guy that's out here hosting the Masked Singer? Come on, man. Nicholas says Black Thought album better than Freddie Gibbs album. I was just listening to both of those albums back to back. I think Freddie Gibbs album is better. I think Black Thought is clearly the better MC. Aquamarine is the best song on both albums. Yes.
Correct.
But that stretch that Freddie has from, I want to say, around number 4 to like 11, it's insane. Yeah.
That's why I was like, I don't know what other people are hearing. When I told you, Mike, Mike, you have the text from me at like 2, 3 in the morning. I'm like, this is the album of the year.
You're right, though. You're right. I fought you on this last week, but we went back and listened to the Black Star for the people who are in our Patreon. We listened to both albums, and our Patreon's actually at the top of the chat if you want to check out that previous show from Monday. But we listened to both albums, and you know what? I'm going to tell everybody here, I've been a big proponent of the Black Star album, No Fear of Time, being the best album I heard all year. I was overstating that album after listening to it again. I honestly have Black Star's album dropping to about number 4, and I think that's just indicative of the year that we're in because the quality albums, we have a lot of quality albums, but the top brass of our quality albums are so close that right now, just based on what I've been listening to over the past week and just kind of compartmentalizing everything and everything that we did on Monday, I got Freddie at 1. I got Cheat Codes at 2. I got Ghetto Gods at 3, and then No Fear of Time.
Okay,
To be fair,
I'm gonna have to go. I'm gonna have to go listen to Ghetto Gods again. I listened to it about a month ago. I need to go listen again. I definitely am with you on Gibbs and Thought at 1 and 2 respectively, which is kind of how we predicted. Like Mike, this album this year could very well go the way that we predicted because it's like, well, you took Thought, I took Nas, and I took Gibbs as a dark horse. The dark horse is in the lead right now. Your pick is in second place. You know, it's getting to be mid-October and no KD3 just yet. So, you know, if things stand pat, that's how it would go. After that, I would say right there, that's why I told you we need to listen to that Che Noir and that Ransom. Because right now, I feel like, you know, that and the Ghetto Gods and the No Fear of Time are kind of like in a lump together. And right outside of that is like Benny and Lupe. And a couple other joints. But,
I need to listen to the Lupe again too because from what I remember, you know, that Lupe was real quality.
It was a high quality album. I mean, if we're going off our ratings right quick, Mike. I mean, yeah, Earth Gang is a 4.7, Che Noir is a 4.7, and JID is a 4.5. We've given the Black Star 4.8. Right along with the Freddie. So what are we dropping the Black Star down to is what I was going to submit to you.
I'm cool with going down to a 4.6 with the Black Star.
Yeah, because I think it's better than JID's album.
Yeah. Frank Wizard said, M only wants smoke if it's a winnable cause. That's what it appears to be. And I'm with you on that, Frank. 36 Chambers says, a bit late today, fellas, but who are y'all considering your next verses on the Patreon segment? Wasn't sure if you had decided yet. Were we gonna do Just Blaze and Havoc, or you want to do something else?
I mean, Just Blaze and Havoc has been sitting there, so we probably should get it done.
Or do you want to get to this Kanye and Dre thing, or do you want to get to this Q-Tip and RZA thing?
Right, that's what I mean. If somebody wants to see something more than that, you know what I mean, we'll do it. I mean, it's for the people. The Patreon is literally, like, everything we do is, like, inherently thinking about the people, but the Patreon is specifically for the people who subscribe and what they really want to see go down. So when we're tossing out topics and ideas and stuff, it's really about what the people gravitate towards.
Right.
Because we ended up having the Brooklyn Queens thing. That wasn't either one of the topics that we chose. The people was like, you should do Brooklyn versus Queens, and everybody in the chat was like, do that.
Yeah, that was Jay Short's, recommendation. Yeah. And shout out to Jay Short. Jay Short
was supposed to happen. Like, the people are supposed to decide what we're doing on the Patreon.
Yeah, so y'all let us know. Jay Short says, Coop, you told the truth on the Patreon. Folks are mad at Freddie made that album and not Lupe, Mos, etc. If Lupe had those songs, people would be saying he's Nas 2.0.
Easy. They'd be like, okay, we were wrong about Kendrick. We apologize, Lupe. Like, it would be a whole thing. That's what I mean. If somebody else makes if the rapper that you love or want to love more than you should, because I just want to say this is like, well, I think where No Fear of Time really hurts is because we're listening to the thoughts of ideas of somebody who's not in touch and not in tune. He's in tune to his world and what he likes. And he's actually maybe a better salesman than we're giving him credit for because, we've all kind of like bought into his world and into the hype of this. And really, Mike, if you just put it on a case-by-case basis, it's like it's not there because it's like, even though it's a 4.6, my fear of No Fear of Time is that when you put it next to his top-level competition, it just doesn't sound as good.
And that's the thing, though, Coop. When we heard that album, Cheat Code didn't exist.
Yep.
Freddie's album didn't exist. And so when I started listening to it listening to it on our Patreon specifically, and even after that, just riding to it, I'm like, yeah, it's hard for me to justify saying that these records are better than these records because they're not.
They're not. But that's what I kept on trying to say is that don't love the MC and the nostalgia and the producer and the other MC so much that you're not hearing the fact that, well, these songs, although futuristic and innovative, they're not really fully fleshed out or complete.
Yeah,
and
I felt very incomplete with that too, yeah.
And Freddie and Black Thought's full songs like Aquamarine and Rabbit Vision expose that. Those full, complete songs that have some of everything that you like, plus guys that can rap their asses off respectively at what they do. Well, it's like, well, you're rapping your ass off respectively, but it's like, so are they. In Black Thought's case, Black Thought is better than both of you.
Well, see,
in Freddie's case, Freddie has more agility than both of you. And here's the last thing that I want to submit. Outside of Mos Def's first album, I don't think he's made an album like where you hear more than 5 to 6 really full, cohesive, great songs. And so I'm going to bring like his album making ability into questions because unlike Andre, we know that he can make an album, but what has really the quality of those albums been like? How good is he as a song maker that Madlib and Talib should be following his lead when they're the ones that have been more active? Think about it. Madlib did Bandana with Freddie. Talib's been outside for a minute. That's who should have been spearheading this album. They should have asked Mos to do what he does best, rap his ass off, not lead the vision of this album. He ain't been outside.
Black on Both Sides celebrates 23 years today also. And The New Danger celebrates an anniversary too. So maybe, today is just, Yassine Bey's day.
I didn't know that.
What I was going to say, though.
One record and one okay record.
Everything that you just said about, the song-making abilities on those two albums, I want to throw Earth Gang's Ghetto God in there as well because listening to that album made me realize, like, I really enjoy these songs. It wasn't, and the bar work was good, but it wasn't all about the bar work. It reminded me of, like, you remember Phil Mob's first album?
Yeah.
Yeah. I enjoyed that album like I enjoyed that album. Like, these guys can clearly rap, but these songs are fun and entertaining and fun to listen to.
This Earth Gang to me is better than that, though.
It is better than that. I'm just talking about, it is. It's better than that. I mean, as a whole, from end to end, yeah. I'm just saying, like, as far as, like, being able to make songs. And, yes, when you listen to No Fear of Time, as dope as those songs are to me, those songs don't sound like complete thoughts and complete songs. Let me get to some of these super chats. Eric Terrell with the super chat says, true to the game. How do you like me now? Jack the Ripper. Dre Day. If you can't dance to a diss record, it's whack. I'm just old game. He said, I'm just old. Game song ain't it. All right, I feel that. Now, again, if you want to dance to a diss record, you're probably not going to dance to an Eminem record or a record that is trying to invoke Eminem sonically. So you're not dancing to Eminem records either. That's probably why Game didn't get you something to dance to.
Boy King with Eric, but I'm writing Jack the Ripper down. I'd like to thank you for Jack the Ripper.
I love Jack the Ripper. The baddest around. I'm a killer with the microphone, the street talk. All right, Boy King says, y'all still ain't reviewed Medallions and Monarchy. We got to get to that.
Medallions and Monarchy? What? Who? What?
Medallions and Monarchy.
What shit is that?
Blue Collar Hustle says, latest EP of you listen to too much rap when helping my 6-year-old with his homework and quizzing her on what's time. She said, Daddy, time is illmatic. Nice. Keep static like wool fabric. What a great album. I guess we have to say that.
Planet Asia? When did they do this?
Huh?
Oh, this is Planet Asia. Well, we just rated the...
I know. There's so much music out there. Jay Short says...
We just rated the Asia and Nug Life joint. Don't make it seem like we're not on our shit at all. I mean, like, damn, we're trying.
Jay Short says, Common versus Lupe. Chi-Town's best. Dame says, where do y'all have Rome Streets ranked? It's
We gave the
interesting.
Rome a 4.4 because I'm looking at our list because we're forever auditing.
I'm gonna say this: the Rome Streets album is a personal favorite of mine for this year. It's one of those albums where it's like, it's hard to say that it's better than certain albums because it doesn't take you out of certain worlds. But I love that world that the Rome Streets album is in, and I think, in my opinion, and we played this on the Patreon, I think the record with Stove and Benny is one of the best songs, if not the song of the year so far.
I'm with you. I think Blow for Blow is the best rap song I've heard this year.
It might be. Blow for Blow is crazy.
It might be. Like, no. I mean, that's the best rap song that I've heard this year. And that's definitely the best ending to a rap song that I've heard in a minute.
Yo,
like,
they went in.
That was a Jadakiss, like, and Jadakiss is forever in his prime, but that's like a peak level Jadakiss ending bar when he said, stand next to the God like Abraham. I was like, that's Jadakiss level. Like, that's Jadakiss level. I was like, he's rapping his ass off right now.
The Soulja Boy record is crazy
They all
too.
destroyed that joint respectively. Like, the beautiful thing about a record like that is that everybody's hearing the same beat, but all three people heard the beat differently and did what they did best differently on it at the same time. And that's usually how classic shit gets made, and that record's a classic. That's an instant classic. I'm with you on Blow for Blow. I would tell you right now that the Rome Streets is a top 10 album this year.
Oh, definitely.
It would probably be, yeah.
Yeah, that album.
Like, how about this? Do you think it's better than the Pusha T?
I like it better than the Pusha T. Now,
but I said, is it better?
I think it is. I hate to say
that.
You know,
now we're giving that a 4.4.
You know what? Is it better than the JID album? Is it better than JID's album? Like, I'm gonna tell you this from a technical standpoint, I would say JID's album is better. But I listen to the Rome Streets album.
You enjoy the Rome more.
I do.
Correct. No, I feel you. So, but the JID is a 4.5. The Rome is a 4.4. What is that Pusha T to you?
People are saying we're being too hard on the Pusha T. This is what I'm gonna say. And I want to preference, you know.
I'm only saying that because as I look at our list right now, Mike, people are right. We have it at a 4.
We have it at a 4. It needs to go up from that. I think
that's why I'm asking you.
Yeah, it needs to go up from that. The problem, I don't even say the problem. I think that there were a lot of expectations with the Pusha T album, right? We've been hearing album of the year, album of the year, album of the year for like the past, year and a half, 2 years now? Coming off of Daytona, which is incredible. Got the vinyl right here in front of me. And coming off of him taking out the biggest rapper in the game, numerically, you know, obviously. And, you know, him going through a lot of things in his personal life, both great and, you know, and sad and tragic. I just expected to hear that album from Pusha T that was going to push him into the lexicon of the greats, you know what I'm saying? And him being able to use his skill set and give us more than he's ever been able to give us, just based on what has transpired in his life over the past 4 years, you know? And when it comes to the content side of things, I wasn't really that impressed with It's Almost Dry. And on the production side of things, I think it was a bit of a letdown as well. But again, a lot of that's coming off of Daytona also, you know?
I'm about to say, I think you're having some Daytona hangover effect going on.
Yeah.
There's a few ways. Okay, so it's hard to rate an album like that anything, I would say, Mike, less than a 4.3 or a 4.4, just because of the actual rapping that's going on, though. And that is the thing that, how about this? I think this is going to go down, in my opinion, as his third best album, because I think My Name is a little better. Slightly.
I think that a 4.3 is fair.
Now, but listen to what I'm about to say, though. But this is going to be one of those records that should be remembered more for how the MC performed. Like, he made this album a 4.3. Like, his rapping ability did. And so like the degree of difficulty, and it seems funny to say because, and that's what I mean, like an album, and here's your problem, like an album that says that it has production from Pharrell and Kanye, we should never be talking about, well, the MC is who made that album great, actually. And therein, and so with that being said, Mike, we know where the problem really lies. It is with the production of the album. And I'm going to tell you what, those beats on there, although you may like those beats aren't holding.
No, they're not. You know, if just hypothetically, and like you said, we got Pharrell and Kanye producing that whole album. If we had Alchemist producing that whole album, this whole conversation's different. It is what it is. Jay Stone, with the super chat says, saw Earth Gang live yesterday at the Gorillaz concert in Boston. They put on a great show. It's awesome. They got great records to perform too. CJ Kidd says, with so many albums out, how do you guys decide which ones to review and which ones to not review? We kind of listen to you guys, and what people are talking about.
I mean, some of that just goes down to the quality, though. I mean, like if it's quality enough and catches our attention to the point where, like there's stuff that you shoot me. It's like, yo, Coop, you need to listen to this. Like when I heard the Planet Asia in Nug Life, the Alkaline Genetics. When I heard that, I was like, yo, Mike, you need to hear this. I'm like, this is an album of the year contender. I'm like, this is one of the 10 best rap albums I've heard this year.
Yep.
And so like we're not biased, and so for people think we're Nas channel, or before that a Griselda channel. No, we're not biased. No, we just like to hear dope.
We're a channel for anybody that's popping, right? Anybody that's out there putting in that work.
I told you, Mike, what did I pull up here and say after I heard Alkaline Genetics? I was like, we need to find this Nug Life producer and try to talk to him because he is nice with the beats.
I forgot about when people used to call us a Griselda channel. That's funny. Yeah, because it's
right.
When Nas puts out KD2,
and we stood up for him. When he was getting truly slandered with yellow journalism by the white media and powers that be, and we said something about it, and then we became a Nas channel. The fact of the matter is we're a dope-ass rap channel. You know what I mean?
Anybody who's putting in that dope-ass work, you tell me somebody that put out a KD2 and a Magic last year.
Look here. Our biggest view on YouTube is us talking about Cool G rap.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Blue Collar Hustle with the super chat says, you guys touched on this last week, but why isn't RZA considered universally goated over Dr. Dre? He produced much more and gave us 2 top 10 rappers. Why do you think that is? First of all, do you have RZA over Dr. Dre?
Mike, I told you my real argument for who should replace him would be RZA, because it's like, well, what he did, I don't think any of the other guys could do. And the only thing that you can say is that, well, what did he do after that? It's like, what do you need to do after that? You know what I mean? That would be what I would submit. It's like, well, after you do that, what do you need to do? It's like literally December of 1993 is Enter the Wu-Tang. July of 1997 is Wu-Tang Forever. You show me somebody in 4.5 years that's even close.
To answer Blue Collar Hustler's question.
Like, how about this? To go against RZA, those 4.5 years, if you were to just pull that 4.5 years of his catalog out, that prime chunk of the work, you would have to take everybody else's whole catalog to beat him. So that's kind of like, it's like, well, if you need your whole shit to beat my 5-year stretch, that makes me the man.
I think a big thing is the fact that RZA did a bulk, if not all of that production within his group. And I think in hip-hop, we have given versatility points for producers that could go outside of their comfort zone and outside of, their collective group to produce for others. But Dr. Dre's done a little bit of that, not as much as, people make it seem. I mean, we just had Game out there saying that Dr. Dre didn't make an individual beat on the documentary. Did you see that part of the interview? Because he was talking to Just Blaze when he did that. I was just watching the Game. So basically, when the Game said that, and Just Blaze made some stuff on the documentary, Just Blaze tried to defend Dre. But Game was like, nah, I'm not going to, take credit from the people who actually produced beats on the album, because Dre listened to the album after it was done and completed. It's like, I had to fly out there to you. I had to go, work with Kanye. I had to go here, and get production from all over the place. And I want to make sure that those people get recognized. I'm not going to give credit to Dr. Dre for stuff he didn't make.
Well, what about How We See? But I guess my thing was that why didn't Just Blaze say, well, did he not make How We Do?
He must not have. If he was gonna, if he didn't ask that, that must have been.
I mean, 'cause I can't front when I listen to like "Don't Worry" with Mary J. Blige and How We Do. I'm like, oh, that is very, very Dr. Dre to me. Like some of his best stuff to me, in all honesty. And so,
who is his production partner? You say his name all the time. You know what I'm talking about.
Mailman.
Huh? No, not Mailman. Elizondo.
Mike Elizondo.
Yeah, I think Elizondo.
He's the guitarist. He's the one that plays a lot of those guitars and chords that you hear. Yeah.
I think he might have.
I've been up with him since I was out in Cali. Obi put me on him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Eric Terrell with the super chat says, "Put somebody versus Ice Cube, maybe Face or Snoop."
We had the Face.
We did have the Face and Cube thing down. Set up.
Yeah, we have Face and Cube down already. That's one of them that we have down. So if y'all want to put that to the front, we can.
Jay Short says, "Does Shay Noir Lost Tapes coming qualify for Album of the Year?" Sure. I think Lost Tapes are albums, right?
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Jay Short says, not Jay Short, CJ Kidd says, did you guys know that Prince played the piano and Havoc's beat that ended up being on Snoop's Eastsider and Mobb Deep track? Thoughts? Prince played the piano on Havoc's beat. Huh. What track is that?
Yeah, tell us the track so I can go listen to it. So I really,
Mad Max said, did Push Rappin' make it a 4.3? The man had Night King bars in 2022. Outside of the 3 records, lyrically, I wasn't impressed. There's better coke rap right now. I think that the records that he showed out on. I think you're probably leaning more towards Let the Smoker Shine the Coupe, Brambleton, Living in the Past, or Dreaming of the Past. Because the record with like Lil Uzi and stuff, I mean, it's not that impressive as far as the bar work. Diet Coke is impressive too, and I really hate the Diet Coke dropped so early. I feel like the fact that Diet Coke dropped so early, it tanks our perception of the record and its involvement on the album. Because when we talk about the album, we don't even talk about Diet Coke like it's not on the album, because I think it came out so early,
Right.
Blue Collar Hustler also said, go ahead.
I want to just go down some of Mike Elizondo's production credits very quick.
Okay, go ahead.
He's got some. First of all, he's got.
Hold on, this is Mike Elizondo who makes beats with Dr. Dre. Just for the
First of all, he's got songwriting credits on The Real Slim Shady, Bitch Please 2, I'm Black, and Who Knew off the Marshall Mathers LP as a songwriter. So he was in the studio for that.
Okay.
He's got production credits for True Lies and Lay Low off The Last Meal.
I think the question should be, why don't we mention people like him when we talk about producers, though? You know what I mean? Like, anybody who's attached to a big name producer, somehow we just leave them out of the conversation altogether.
Mike, I'm not done. Writing credit for Hennessy and Buddha off The Last Meal, too. Mm-hmm. Songwriting credits for Exhibit Don't Approach Me featuring Eminem. Songwriting credit for Let Me Blow Your Mind. That was probably him playing that guitar. I
can believe that.
Yep, that's probably him.
He probably created it, yeah. If it wasn't a sample that had to be recreated.
On Busta Rhymes' The Genesis, he's got songwriting credits for Holla, Bounce, Break Your Neck, Truck Volume, Family Affair, songwriting credit. Like, you know what songwriting credit is when you're a producer, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. That means you came up with it. Mm-hmm. Like the original riff and chord you hear in the records that I'm listening.
The melody is the writing, the songwriting.
The melody is the songwriting. So think about this. Let Me Blow Your Mind, Break Your Neck. These are pretty big hits. Family Affair by Mary J. Blige. Did she not just perform that at the Super Bowl?
These are huge records.
Lay Low, Mike. That was what you were saying was like, that with Bitch Please was the comebacks.
Yeah.
You know, right? Let's go to some more. When he Bilal, Sally
Oh,
on
that record was
Eminem's.
crazy.
Yeah, songwriting credit for Sally. That's what I'm saying on Firstborn Second. Because
Mm-hmm.
Dre did work on there too. That's probably how he ended up on that project. Because remember, the lead singer was Fast Life with Dre and Kiss.
Fast Life was crazy. That beat was hard.
That beat was crazy.
Yeah.
Eminem Show, Say What You Say. That's the Dre track. Another songwriting credit. So that means he laid the foundation for that track too. Say Goodbye to Hollywood and Business on the Eminem Show.
Mm-hmm.
Elizondo, songwriting credit. Satisfaction by Eve, production and songwriting credit.
I can hear his style now that you're going through these records.
You can hear
like
these
when
riffs,
you hear
can't
Satisfaction, you hear Get Down to Business, Eminem.
Let
like
me
you
blow
can
your
hear,
mind,
yeah,
lay low.
Yeah.
You're hearing it. Lay low and let me blow your mind. Dun, dun, dun,
Yeah.
boom,
It's
boom,
that
boom.
pocket, that rhythm.
It's that pocket. Oh, Mike, we're about to. Oh, look at this, Mike. Get Rich or Die Trying. He's got production and songwriting credits on If I Can't and In the Club.
Well, here it is.
No, we're not done, Mike. He's also got songwriting credits for Patiently Waiting, Heat, and Back Down.
Jeez.
Mike, the Obi Trice, Shit Hits the Fan, production and songwriting credit. Look in My Eyes and O are songwriting and production credits to Mike Elizondo. The Setup, the best song on there. On Obi Trice's Cheers, The Setup.
Mm-hmm. This is what I'm gonna say, man. Shout out to Jermaine Dupri because he always gives name slips me. Michael. You know
Mike Mulder.
No. It'll come to me in the chat. His writing partner. He always gives him credit. And I know that sounds like a mute point now since hold on now. I can't do my man like that.
Mike, while you're looking, I'm gonna keep going through Mike Elizondo. Popping Them Fangs off Beg for Mercy.
Yo, that's a crazy record.
That record's crazy. Mike, Rich Girl, Gwen Stefani.
Mm-hmm. Well, even though that's a remake, but yeah.
Mike, Ass Like That, Just Lose It, Encore from Rain Man off the Encore album, production, songwriting credits, all through it. 50 Cent, Out of Control, production and songwriting credits. Guns Come Out, production and songwriting credit. Mike, this is what the game is talking about.
Mm-hmm.
No, listen, the documentary, West Side Story. The right songwriting credit is Mike Elizondo. On Higher. These are all the Dr. Dre chats, Mike. This is what he's talking about. The 5 Dr. Dre tracks. Remember I told you the documentary has a 5-piece of Dr. Dre tracks? Well, here's your proof. Don't Worry is produced and songwritten by Mike Elizondo. So that's not Dre. How We Do is the same, Mike Elizondo. Higher songwriting credit, Mike Elizondo. West Side Story, songwriting credit, Mike Elizondo. Mike Elizondo made these tracks. Game is right. You know what songwriting credit is when you are a musician, Mike. It is the melody that you play that is the original credit, which means he created these melodies, not Dr. Dre. Dr. Dre would be down as the songwriter.
Brian Michael Cox is who I'm thinking about. My name, we doing live television, so names slip me sometimes. But yes. Shout out to Jermaine Dupri.
Mike,
he always gives Brian Michael Cox his props. He does.
And I'm just going through Mike Elizondo's rap production credit. I want you to understand this man's worked with Fiona Apple, the Jonas Brothers, Alanis Morissette. So he's a producer. Okay? Mike, Nas's Hustlers off Hip Hop Is Dead. The songwriting credit goes to Mike Elizondo. That means Dre just came and finished that up too. That was Elizondo's shit too. That's what Game is talking about when he's saying he's never really rapped on a Dr. Dre beat because the Game is on Hustlers too. You're like, oh no, Dre didn't make that beat. Mike Elizondo made that beat. Dre came in.
Yeah. And it's different when you see
Game is talking in code, Mike. Game's talking in code, letting you know, no, that's Mike Elizondo shit. Remember, I've been telling you about Mike Elizondo all this time because when me and Obi used to listen to the Chronic 2001, he used to be like, Mike Elizondo is the one that's playing like the strings on here and like the guitar shit, like that shit that you're hearing. He's like, that's a bad motherfucker. And he was telling me about the other stuff. You know what I'm saying? Because this is a few years after the Chronic 2001 it came out, so he had done other work by then.
It's different when the Game comes in the studio as an artist, and he sees Kanye out there working with the Beat Machine or whatever he's working on, or he sees Premier working or whatever, and then they make a beat, give it to him, and he raps on it. He's saying probably he's never seen Dre do that.
Right. Mike, this guy's worked with everybody. Maroon 5 is on here. Sheryl Crow, Carrie Underwood, So this dude,
So why are we
Sierra's
not
on
talking
here.
about him more?
Love, Sex, Magic by Sierra. That's Mike Elizondo songwriting credit.
Wow.
He's everywhere.
Let me get to these super chats real quick.
Hold on. This dude got some paper, Mike.
Of course.
There's bangers on here from every genre of music that you can want to think of all the way up until recently, and he's not even 50 years old yet. This is the guy we need to be checking for, because a lot of this modern day Dre stuff, pretty much from 2000, Mike.
It's him. Or he's a big part of.
He's been a big part of the biggest stuff, Mike. I mean, we just went through In the Club and How We Do were the bangers, aren't they?
Yeah.
Aren't those Dre's like biggest modern day bangers is How We Do and In the Club?
Well, I was gonna say Family Affair too from Mary. That's a classic. Got Mary.
Well, Mike Elizondo songwriting credit. That means he created those original tunes.
Yeah.
That means Dre came in and finished the job, but did not create from scratch.
Right.
And so, Mike, with this right here, give me RZA.
Well, you know what? Anybody who, I'll put it this way, somebody that big like Dr. Dre, if he has to share the songwriting or production credit with somebody who is not as heralded, more than likely, Elizondo probably did most of the work. Right? Blue Collar Hustle with the super chat says...
Because here's the thing about it. Dre gave Elizondo his start. Elizondo doesn't have a discography before working with Dre on The Last Meal.
Right.
And working on the Marshall Mathers LP. So, I guess that's part of the whole Discover credit thing. But then you'll see after that G-Unit time, well, he really doesn't work with him like that. You know what I mean?
He goes off and
Hustlers
does his own thing.
And a couple of Eminem records. That's 2007. And after that, he goes and does his thing.
Let me get to these super chats real quick. Blue Collar Hustle says, I honestly feel like because RZA was God Body and was uplifting black men and not Chronic and Gin and Juice, he doesn't get the credit he deserves. It's an interesting theory. I mean, we've seen that all over the genre. Andrew Green with the super chat says, if not now, then in March, you should do an album bracket with the top 64 albums, rap albums of all time. If not albums, do 64 songs. Then decide the brackets on Patreon. I think that's a great idea. We did an album, it was a rapper bracket way back in the day, early on in According to Hip Hop, before we had the YouTube channel, when we were just on Facebook and we were using their polling mechanisms and stuff to find the greatest rapper of all time. So yeah, I'm down to update that and really get the people involved this time, since we're speaking to the people now. CJ Kidd says, the Prince/Havoc song is Thou Shalt Not Kill, prime prodigy of a Prince pianos. Dope. Uncle Fran with the super chat says, yes, Just Blaze versus Havoc. Coop for the first win. 36 Chamber says, why do we let early single releases like Diet Coke and Neck and Wrist affect the album ratings? Isn't the quality of the music still a major factor? It is. But I just think that the way that music comes so fast now, if a song's been out for 3 weeks, it feels like it's been out for 3 months. You know what I mean? And it's some of them songs just didn't have to be put out there. Neck and Wrist didn't have to be put out there.
See, this is what I mean. Okay, so are you watching how Griselda's packaging the Liz 2 right now?
Yeah.
They're packaging the Liz 2. They're not packaging the music and overplaying the music. She's got Paula Dean out. They shot a video for it. But they're not tossing it around everywhere. They're tossing everything around, as in they're doing full promo. They're showing her BET Cypher, verse, which was the best verse on there, in my opinion. They're showing her Made You Look freestyle over the Made You Look beat. They got $100 Hiccup bubbling on the underground. They got the Liz 2 gear dropping, I believe, tomorrow, merch-wise, to prepare you for it. You're getting a little bit of everything. You're not just getting beat with this one song over and over again to drag it out. It's called creating a buzz. And they're doing it in about a 4 to 5 week time period.
Yeah.
4 to 5 weeks. It's like this buzz literally started about 4 or 5 weeks ago. The Liz 2 drops next Friday.
I'm waiting for it.
Done.
LP with the super chat
we're all
says,
excited. You want to know part of why we're excited? Well, not only is she nice and not only is she beautiful, but they've actually marketed it to her audience properly to get us excited. Like those of us that want her to win, those of us that have been following her, we're watching how they're marketing and promoting, and like Well, that's how you market and promote something, damn it.
Well, you know what? This is the thing too, and I know this isn't the same exact thing, but
Shit is not that difficult.
if you were anticipating the release of a film, would you want to see 5 or 6 different full out scenes? That
No.
takes away from what you're about to see. You know what I'm
I
saying?
mean,
Like,
to be
give me
honest with
one
you, when they
clip.
dropped
And,
Paula, I'm sorry.
no, I was just
Go
gonna
ahead.
say, give me one clip and then keep that anticipation going.
I
That's
mean,
why
when
we
they
do
dropped Paula
trailers.
Dean, I was slightly worried. I was like, what's wrong with $100 Hiccup? Stove and Benny and her snapping on there too. But then I was like, but then you ain't heard nothing else. And now you got the BET cipher, and then you got the Major Look freestyle. I'm like, oh, never mind. I'm like, okay, there you go. All right. Sorry.
LP says facts, Mike. We don't even mention Chad with Pharrell. Dre and Kanye have the most, I guess, ghost producers of any of our top producers. Havoc, Tip, Preem, don't. And you know, I think the thing is, at least with Ye, and even if you talk about Tip when he had Dilla, they acknowledged the guys, and we knew that Dilla was Dilla even when he was working with Q-Tip. You know, and I think that the lack of acknowledgement of the mailmen, the Elizondos, and you know, to a certain extent, Daz, Yella, I think that's a problem. It's nothing wrong with having you know, production help. But I just hate to see people who are doing so much work and who are so talented not get any credit. You know, even when Timbaland teamed up with Danger, we knew what Timbaland was like without Danger. We knew that Timbaland really made, you know, not Missy So Addictive, but Superfly and shit like that. One in a million.
No, it's good to try different things, even production wise. Just like MCs get together and do albums and do like guest verses with each other, work on stuff together. You know what I mean? It's the same way producers get together. You know what I mean? Even if it's infrequent, like look at the way like Nas and Raekwon get together. It's like no, producers should be able to do the same thing from time to time. It's cool, but what I just pulled out, what feels like is a trail that says that one guy is going in here and creating the work and the other guy is coming back and cleaning it up and fixing it. I told you, that's an executive producer. That's an engineer. That's not your producer. And so you don't have that. And this is what I mean. You don't have that going on with RZA. Because here's what I tell you. And this is why I appreciate the run so much. It's like, if the best thing we got, like what you taking off of RZA in that run, it's like Fourth Disciple did Scary Hours, right?
I believe so, yes.
And True Master did the MGM in Brooklyn Zoo, right?
I believe so.
True Master also did Fish off of Iron Man. Remember Fish? We eat fish, toss salads, and make rap ballads. True Master did Fish. And other than that, I can't think of any epic. Didn't Fourth Disciple or one of them do Heaters?
Mm-hmm.
Like, Mike, it's few and far in between that the heat doesn't belong to RZA. That's a lot of classic shit. It's like those are only tracks that made it to the board. You feel what I'm saying? And because you know that those are the tracks that made it to the board because he gave him credit when it made it to the board. Because think about this. He had every reason and it was in very much position to put his name down on Brooklyn Zoo and nobody would have said a word.
Oh, straight up. This is what I'm going to say too, man. I remember when he played Brooklyn Zoo on Versus and people made a deal about that. And he said, shit, it was made on the equipment that I bought or something he said. Anyway, what I was going to say, though, I do want to piggyback on something that you just said and the fact that it is technically on a traditional producer's role. It is the producer's job to come back and clean up and do those things. But in hip-hop, what we've seen from producers, they have to do everything. And so, yes, from a traditional standpoint, if we're putting Dr. Dre in the conversations of the Quincy Joneses of the world and, you know, and those type of producers stylistically, yes. But when it comes to hip-hop producers have to do all the cleaning up. They have to do the synchronizing. They have to do everything except for engineering most of the time. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I think it's unfair for us to put a person on the pedestal that doesn't do the traditional work that a hip-hop producer does, but does the work that a traditional hip-hop producer does. You know what I mean? It's two different worlds.
I I think one of the things that often gets understated about Wu-Tang Clan, and I'm gonna be very careful with what I'm about to say. Mike, you understand that Method Man and Raekwon are the only ones that really have great voices. You do understand that, right?
I think Ghost has a great voice. I think
Ghostface Killer does not have a great voice.
I think
Mike.
Jizza has a great voice. I think Dirty has a great voice.
Great? No, I think Mike, don't toss great around like that. When I mean great, I mean like your voice is all like legendary. Okay. Yeah, they're not all time. The only all time great voices in that crew, including Old Dirty Bastard, is Raekwon and Meth. Their voices are better than the rest of the clan. It is, Mike. Come on. Like, you know that. Meth and Raekwon have the voices, like the rap voices. And here's what I mean about the rap voice. With those guys, play the beat.
I got you. Kind of like on some Q-tip shit where it's like anything can go.
With the rest of those guys, what I'm saying, you have to actually do more of a production job. They're all great lyricists, Mike. Yeah. They're all great lyricists. They're not all great songwriters. They don't all have great voices. The job that RZA did making everybody sound great and sounding solo worthy is one of the more noteworthy and notable things. They sounded good enough collectively that everybody was able to go solo. That's a producer doing his job to a zenith because, yeah, you can put Meth and Raekwon over anything and it sound good, i.e. Meth versus Chef, where they literally freestyle over the beat and it's good enough to make an album. But that's not how Old Dirty Bastard's album was made.
I'm not going to lie to you. With that being said,
how Liquid Swords was made.
With that being said, I would imagine the Return to the 36 Chambers had to be the most difficult album to ever produce.
That's what I'm saying.
I'm going to say this. When dealing with a personality like that, Dr. Dre would have never completed Dirty's album. Ever. That album would have never saw the light of day. You couldn't even complete a Rakim album. How you going to deal with some... You hear people telling stories about how difficult it was to get one verse out of Old Dirty. He made a whole album with the man. And it's a great album.
And it's a long album, too. Like, it's not like it's 10 or 11 songs. It's like 17 records on there. It's a whole album.
Yeah, that might be one of the most impressive production jobs ever.
He made Method Man's first album on a tour bus, Mike. That's what I'm saying. Like,
dealt with the flood and everything. CJ Kidd with the super chat says...
He made Purple Tape, Mike.
Yeah.
He made all the beats on the Purple Tape.
All of them.
All of them.
CJ Kidd says, do a Mike Elizondo versus somebody for the Patreon. LOL. Jay Short says, Justin Elizondo versus Dr. Dre. Eric Terrell with the super chat says, all of the songs you named are old songs, sampled music, no original songs. He has a lot of help. Dr. Dre told him what to do. Okay. LP with the super chat says, Tip is the real GOAT. Change the game. No co-credits. And he'll tell you how he made the records too. Eric Terrell with the super chat says, who is your favorite coach / director, chef? I'm sorry, chief. They may help all of them have help. RZA has help. Trust me, even hip hop.
No, that's what I'm saying. Okay, so what I'm trying to say is that his help has been fourth disciple and true master, and they've gotten credit for their help. It's like, that's what I mean. It's like the MGM and Brooklyn Zoo and Scary Hours, those ain't regular records.
Well,
like, so obviously what those dudes are making, the heaters, no, those aren't regular beats that True Master and Fourth Disciple are making. They're getting their credit to get in when those beats are dropping. But Mike, Shadowboxing, Fourth Chamber,
no,
Liquid Swords, Investigative Reports, all the beats on the Purple Tape.
What RZA...
Shimmy Shimmy Ya, Rawhide, Snakes, Bring the Pain.
Yeah. What RZA and Manny Fresh did, RZA and Manny Fresh did was they set a culture.
Made Triumph. Did make Triumph. Impossible.
Yeah. RZA and Manny Fresh set a culture. That's what they did.
Bells of War.
Yeah.
It's everywhere. That's what I mean. It's like, what type of beat do you want him to make? He made every type of beat that you could make because he had to for his clan. Like, for the clan. For the sake of the clan, he had to make every style of beat. There wasn't one style of beat that he could make. I'm saying Method Man and Ray were literally probably the only cats he could just throw a rap beat to, and they would just go get busy on. Like, I guarantee you, like, the rest of them ain't gonna sound as good on Incarcerated Scarface faces as Ray. That's a rapper's rapper beat. He got a rapper's rapper voice. That beat for Ray. Like Ghost is not going to sound as good on that
question.
record if Ghost is in the studio that night.
I want to ask a question though, and I'm not being funny. You know, I learned how to play an instrument when I was in 6th grade. You know, I was pretty damn good too, but and I carried that all the way through college. But with that being said, Dre is 20-something years in the game at the time that Mike Elizondo and him start working together. And I know that it was said here in the super chat that he told Elizondo what to do, but with Dre being the producer at the level
That's
that he
an executive producer.
No, but with Dre being the producer that he is at the level he is, why didn't he learn how to play any instrument and play on any of those records? Elizondo obviously brought something to the table. I think it's a little deeper than just telling somebody what to do. I mean, I don't think Dre is a guy who's just, starting off. You know what you want to hear. Why don't you pick up an instrument and be able to do a little bit of that too? I mean, Prince did it. He's a different beast, obviously. I think Rakim said he played the bass line for Know the Ledge because he knew what he wanted to hear. And again, Rakim's somebody who grew up playing the same instrument that I played, saxophone.
Yeah, he's a saxophone.
Yeah, so, I mean, again, I don't like when people try to write these musicians off as like, yeah, Dre brought you in and just told you what to do. But if the guy was just a regular studio musician, Dre would have learned how to play that instrument and done all of those things himself as well. You know that story about Nerd, right?
Which one?
Well, so basically, Chad and Pharrell in the group Nerd with Shay as well. They made the first album. I love that album, man. They made the first album, and it had like a lot of the Neptune sounding beats on it, but it didn't sound full. In Search Of. And so they brought a band in to actually, replay all of this stuff. And so they were like, well, shit, we got to go on tour. We don't know how to play any of this stuff. They learned how to play all of this stuff and went on tour and then played everything on their second album. They didn't need that backup band anymore. You know what I mean? That's what producers do. You go out there and you learn how to play instruments. It is what it is.
No, you're right. Like Wyclef plays instruments. Bring up Prince and somebody else playing instruments other than Stevie Wonder is not fair to the other person.
No, we're not even going to talk about them. We'll talk about Clef. We'll talk about Chad. We'll talk about Pharrell. Shit, we'll even talk about Timbaland. You know what I'm saying?
I believe Dr. Dre can play some piano or keyboard. I refuse to believe that he can't. He can play. I'd say he can play the piano or keyboard at a minimum. Like, no way. I refuse to believe that Dr. Dre cannot get, like, if you were to sit a sheet of music in the piano in front of Dr. Dre right now, I believe he could play for you.
Okay.
So I do believe that, yes. Maybe he probably can't play anything else, but I believe he can play the piano. And I'm not going to knock him because, playing the piano can get you a long, long way. So
definitely. Jay Shore with the Super Chat says, with Nas, AZ, and Mega on a roll, would you be interested in another Firm album? Foxy will only have to spit as much as Dre on Stankonia. No diss. Would you be interested in the Firm album at this point? No?
I mean, the Firm album, not to be funny, that's supposed to be executive produced by Dr. Dre, wasn't it?
Well, supposedly, but we know that there was a lot of hands in the pot. But everybody's free now.
Okay, so what would you say? I'd like a little. Who would you want to produce that at this stage? Because they're all older now and a little bit more grown up. Their rhetoric is all very much more grown man in a good way, and so I would think you would want a more I don't want to throw out the easy ones and just say like Alchemist or Hit Boy. Who do you think sound wise, stylistically, would be able to give them a sound that would be special and make this really like a special reunion?
I don't know. I think I'm more interested in a Nas and AZ album at this junction than I am a Firm album. And I say that respectfully. I only say that because we're coming off of Do or Die 2, KD 2, and Magic.
No, Mega's the realness too is tight, man.
No, it's tight. But it's like, I want to hear these two guys.
Foxy's really the only unknown in the situation. Those three guys have all just proven literally, with Mega just dropping the other week, that they're still very much capable of making dope ass rap material.
No, definitely.
So she's the only question mark. Mike, how would I know this is going to sound strange, and we've just brought them up. I think that they would need like a kind of. I would love to see them do like a kind of more grown up, funky type of thing this time around. And Mike, DJ Quick.
I like that. I like that.
DJ
That's
Quick.
another. You know what? We always forget Quick. He's another guy who went out there and learned how to play instruments,
Yes,
and he applied it to his production talents. Man, like again, I don't know if it's a little easier when you're younger, but yeah, me from 6th grade to 9th, 10th, or whatever, we're talking about like a 4-year span on my instrument. I'm like a rock star on that bitch. And you're telling me people who professionally make music, and this is your claim to fame, this is what you do, you're in the studio 20-something years straight, and you don't know how to play a certain instrument? I don't understand that.
Because you've had time and resources and money to learn, correct?
And experience, and just being around musicians. Like, if you're around musicians 24/7, you're going to pick up something.
Yeah. I mean, just me. And this is what I mean, Mike, the competitor in me, if I was the person in the room that couldn't play instrument, I'd be sitting next to whoever knew the most and figuring out. Like,
that's why,
and
I'm not trying
to. What do I got to do that?
I'm not trying to be
funny. What chord is
funny.
that? How do I got to hold the guitar? Like, what do I need to do?
Right.
What? Hello? Message.
That's why, man, I'm not trying to be funny, but, even with 3,000 and him, carrying around the guitar and really never playing it, I just never understood that, man. Like, I was, when they did Coachella, I thought it would have been so epic. And Prince was still alive then. He was actually backstage at that show. If he would have been able to pull out a guitar and play songs like Prototype and like really do them shits, man, like somebody who can play the instrument, them things would be epic. The Love Below was built for an artist who could play an instrument and translate those records live and sing them live as well.
It was meant for a band, yeah.
And it was, and I hate to say this because I love The Love Below, but it sold records, it did its thing. But I think it would be iconic if it could have translated live. I think that's why we still don't hear a lot of the things from that record. If we had live performances to connect that album with, that would be an iconic record. And unfortunately, because there was no tour with it, he didn't translate those songs live. He wasn't able to, like you said, either sing those live or perform those with the band or him as an instrumentalist live. The record just is where it is.
You don't think the album's iconic, though? Because I would disagree with that.
I don't know, man. I don't think that the music carries. I love the album. Don't get me wrong. I don't want my words to be twisted up. I love the album, but I think that we would still be talking about the album and individual songs on it if they had performances to go with them. If we had performances to go with She Lives in My Lap, or we had, actual concerts for Hey Y'all, or, concerts for Prototype and things like that, I think that it would be different. I think Happy Valentine's Day, these records should have been translated live. And the fact that they didn't, it really crippled, I don't want to say the legacy of the album, but you know what I mean? The legs of those records. There should have been able to be a repackaged live version of that album, really.
No, you're right. I think, they're a missed opportunity. Like an album like that, had he been able to play an instrument like a guitar and have a band, it would have been perfect for an intimate, like MTV Unplugged type of setting, or like a Tiny Desk concert type of vibe or something like that. Yeah, so there's some opportunities missed, but that hasn't prevented people from still waxing poetic about its brilliance.
Oh yeah, it's an incredibly written and produced album.
And
performed in the studio. Can you imagine if he had Anderson .Paak?
Right.
Can you imagine if he had Anderson .Paak's skill set as far as a live, you know what I mean?
No, I get what you're saying. What I was going to submit to you is that just from a rapper's perspective, it is like, like what The Love Below is kind of what Kendrick just tried to pull off with Mr. Morale. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, he tried to do like this thematic, orchestrated play type of thing. Like the Love Below's a play to me. You know that, right?
Yeah,
I just don't consider it to be hip hop because he's really not rapping on there.
Yeah.
But the theme of it is built out and organized and staged more like a play made for Broadway, very much like Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers. But that's when it goes down to execution. You know what I'm saying? And that's why we're not a fan of double albums, because too, now we can look back in and say, it's like, oh, the doubleness of it kind of hurt some of the execution too. Because even the Love Below, as great as it is, it's a little bit too long, Mike. It's a little bit too long.
Slightly.
Just a little.
I want to get to the next topic. I think that's a really good transition. I mean, we were going to talk about the tour, and I think we're going to get to that. But let me get to these super chats, and we'll get to this next topic. CJ Kidd says, what holds Moment of Truth back from being a top 10 hip-hop album? I would love a deep dive on this.
You want to tackle it right quick, or what you want to do?
I mean, I don't know. I mean, yeah, we can answer the question.
I'll tell you what my immediate thought is. There's the only thing that's really holding it back from being a top 10 rap albums is the more seminal moments from albums of comparable classic quality.
I was thinking that too.
Like, because if you're just looking at, I told you, Mike, when I listen to it, album-wise, it's easy that it's a top 25 rap album for me, just off the quality of it, because you're not going to find a rap album with 19 better songs. You're not.
It's a better, it's their best album, to me.
Oh, Mike, by far, in my opinion, actually, because it's the only one of their rap albums that I would have in my top 20. Okay? Yeah. Like, I would have it, like, I don't think you understand. I told you, I think the Moment of Truth, like, song for song, is better than Reasonable Doubt. I have it ranked higher. I have it, like, slightly ahead of Reasonable Doubt and slightly behind It's Dark and Hell is Hot. Like, It's Dark and Hell is Hot is like a top 15 to 20 rap album to me. Mm-hmm. So it's like, I would consider Moment of Truth to be a top 20 rap album. And the only rap albums that are better than it aren't even necessarily better. They're just more important. The Low End Theory, Doggy Style, It Takes a Nation of Millions, The Chronic. I mean, did I say The Chronic? Illmatic. You know what I'm saying?
I think the groundbreaking nature of all of those records.
The Wu-Tang. Like, you know what I mean?
You're naming some groundbreaking albums, too. And I don't think, as great as Moment of Truth is, I don't know if it has that groundbreaking nature that those records
It's the only thing that it's missing. That's what I mean. It's the best rap album that you'll find that doesn't have, like, a groundbreaking nature to it. It's just brilliant.
Yeah.
Like, it's just brilliant rap.
CJ Kidd also says, where do you rank Prime Prodigy on the all-time lyricist list?
Lyricist, lyrically, I would have to make that list out. He would be lyrically top 20 for me, probably not top 10. When I think lyrically, I immediately think Rakim, Nas, Thought, G-Rap, KRS, Pun, you know, GZA, like those guys like come to me immediately, like boom, 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 bam, when we're talking lyricists, you know? Mm-hmm. So I would put him probably on the back end of the 20. AZ is lyrically more inclined, you know what I'm saying, in my opinion. Like, to be a lyricist, like, for me, if we're, like, getting into the nuance of it, you know, he would just fall behind some guys, but some pretty special guys. But he has some special qualities, too.
Thumbs up in the chat. We're going to talk Kendrick in a second, too, when I get through these super chats. Eric Terrell says, Prince played everything, plus he still had Jesse Johnson, Jimmy Jam, Lisa, and Wendy. Sheila E. They wrote a lot of music on his albums, but Prince is still Prince, just like Dr. Dre is still Dr. Dre, no pun intended.
Let me tackle that one right quick, Mike, if I may.
Yeah, go ahead.
That's kind of accurate, but kind of not accurate, because here's the difference, and I've always said this. Like, first of all, Prince got a deal without anybody. The record industry was literally looking for the next Stevie Wonder. And Prince is who they turned up. So good pull by the industry, okay? Mm-hmm. His best material, Mike, about, I'd say 70% of it is with Prince and the Revolution. And I've always said that. Mm-hmm. Prince and the Revolution are nowhere to be found on Sign of the Times, Mike. And it might be his greatest piece of work. And Dr. Dre does not have a piece of work like that, no, he does not.
Dr. Dre doesn't have a piece of work where it's just him anyway.
That's what I'm saying.
Did he have any help on, you know, this is the one, not to interrupt you. Did he have any help on the DLC's album?
We'll have to pull it up and see.
Yeah. Okay.
But Mike, that's 1989.
Yeah.
I was
I would
eight.
say that's his seminal work if he had no help, but I think Yellow was around for that too.
Probably,
Yes.
most likely. But I'm saying all of this to say that it's like that's different. It's always been kind of a group effort for Dr. Dre. He comes from NWA,
Right.
you know.
CJ Kid with the super chat says the Firm / Mike Elizondo album. Yeah. We got to give people credit, man. I mean, that's just what it is. I mean, again, Rod Temperton always gets his credit and everything that he did with Michael when it comes to Rock With You, when it comes to the song Thriller itself. Like, there's never been
money
no
and there's money in the credit too, Mike. You know, like a lot of it.
It is. Because you get way more work when you're getting that credit. Mad Max of the super chat says, speaking of, what is this? MM and TBS, K-Dot says that his album is a gift to humanity. The Herbis of the Tierra wearing fake Christ complex dude. The hubris of this Tierra wearing fake Christ complex dude. We're going to get to K-Dot in a second. I'm going to hold that comment. CJ Kidd says, most def for Andre 3000 on the overall talent. I think we talked about this last week. Who's the better rapper, singing, and acting? I think the acting puts most over the edge, in my opinion. Mad Max says, all he do when you listen to his verse is use internet arguments and write from both perspectives. Without having a real point or standing on a point. Kendrick, Mad Max is on your ass. He's seeing the Wizard of Oz right now. 36 Chambers with a super chat says Kendrick got a poster and had a whole generation tell him that he was the GOAT. Hard to keep ego in check past a certain level of fame with the accolades. Okay, let's just go into it. Joe Budden said that Kendrick Lamar is a top 10 MC all time. And seems like the people, what do y'all feel about that? Because we're about to give our thoughts on it. What do y'all think about the fact that they're saying now, after this album specifically, Kendrick is top 10? What say you, Coop? Is Kendrick Lamar top 10 MC all time? And if not, why not?
Tell me what's going on. Like, tell me who's really playing this album. No, let's,
you know,
let's
when we
be
were
honest.
just talking about the best albums of 2022, I didn't even think about K-Dot. Like, I wasn't even trying to be funny and not mention his album. I literally wasn't thinking about him. When you brought up Lupe, I'm like, yeah, that Lupe album's quality. And I still didn't really think like, yeah, Mr. Morale. No. It's probably not even a top 10 album of this year. And so to say that someone is top 10 all time, top 10 all time and they're currently in their prime, would you say he's in his prime still? I don't know. Maybe he's not. It's hard to make that top 10 argument all time when A, you took a 5-year break in your prime. I think we can legitimately say that the break was in his prime. And then you come back with an album that might not even be a top 10 album of this year. Now I'm hearing reports saying that, you know, like Mad Max said, he's saying this album is a gift to humanity and that he was scared to put it out and things of that nature.
So what? I don't know. What do you think, Mike? I mean, this is that, okay, this is that grandiose nature that I was talking about happens when you deify people and you overhype him. Like, we waited 5 years to hear some music that nobody really replays or nobody really talks about. Like, Mike, when you're checking other music stuff and music spheres, is anybody talking about the music?
I heard Silent Hill today, and I was like, it's a dope record. That's it.
Silent Hill and N95 are dope records.
Mm-hmm.
Even
when he just performed.
So what? You get what I'm saying? It's just like,
I watch SNL, right? You know, the cast is very not funny right now, but it's been like that for a minute. But he performed on SNL, and I think they were dope performances too. But nobody's talking about it.
Because it wasn't that dope, Mike. When you're saying the performance was dope, I watched the performance too, and I was like, no, it's not that dope. And you want to know why, Mike? Song's not that dope.
You know what this is, and you
The
asked me
music's
what I
just
think.
not there. Why can't we just admit that the music isn't there? Like somebody went on Twitter and was like talking about Jay and Nas's missteps, and I just told them flat out. I was like, this album is worse than Nostradamus. I said Nostradamus had Last Words and Shoot 'Em Up on there.
This
Last Words and Shoot 'Em Up. Had Last Words and Shoot 'Em Up on there. I'm very clear on that. It had Family with Mobb Deep on there.
I think you're going too far.
Window on there. You feel what I'm saying? It had Come and Get Me with DJ Premier on there. This album is not even Nostradamus level. And Mike, and you know how I come up on this show for 2 years and kick Nostradamus around like the subpar ass Nas album that it is. This is a subpar ass Nas. Mike, I want you to understand, the first record on Nostradamus is Life We Chose. The previous 3 records start off New York State of Mind, The Message, and New York State of Mind Part 2. And you start off with Life We Chose. And even that is better than what this Kendrick album is. That's how bad this Kendrick album is. People need to digest it so they can tell him, so he can humble himself and eat the food and go make the album that we waited 6 years for. Because now we're going on a 6-year wait of waiting for your project. Because I don't know what that was, Mike, but it wasn't good. It wasn't even Nostradamus level. Think about what I'm saying. It's not even Nostradamus level. You can go play Last Words right now and be like, that shit sounds great. There's not one song on there like that.
I think it's a better album than Nostradamus.
It's not.
With all things considered, though, and the fact that Nostradamus was coming back to back off of I Am, the bootleg, and this and that, you had 5 years to make this one. So that's a little different.
Shoot 'Em Up and Project Windows and Last Words is on Nostradamus. Nostradamus is better than Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers. And that is the album that took Nas into what is the dive and the spiral that people talk about in his career. And this album is worse than that. Listen to what I'm saying. And Nas didn't take 5 years off. He took like 8 months off.
Thumbs up in the chat. I want more people in this discussion. Let me get to the super chats real quick.
What are we talking about?
LP
I want
says,
you to show me a song on here that sounds like Last Words.
LP says, am I missing something? Did Dr. Dre get help on NWA albums? Easy Does It, The Chronic, DLC album. Correct me if I'm wrong, but he did those himself. Now Yella was around, Daz was around, and Warren G were around for some of the latter ones you're talking about. But Yella was around for the NWA stuff and for Easy Does It. The Chronic, Warren G was around, and so was Daz, I believe. The DLC album, that's the only one in question, but I believe that Yella may have been around for that as well. Let me get to some of these other super chats because I want to give my feelings on this as well.
It was a spiral, Mike. He made You Owe Me. Spiral. He made Big Girl. Spiral.
Chris Daughtery says, hello, no. We got 36 Chambers says, Kendrick is to under 30 what Nas is to 35 plus fans. Doesn't matter what he releases. I don't know if the young under 30 fuck with him like that, but I'll finish your super chat. It says, doesn't matter what he releases. Now he has stands out here. I love Kendrick, but he's a media darling. Mad Max says, Joe Budden is bought and paid for. Kendrick ain't top 10. Kendrick is the top 30. He and Interscope got the people under a Jedi mind trick spell. He's talented, but he's not all that. And see, Mad Max is under 30. So that's what the under 30 crowd is saying. LP says, we're in a hip-hop bubble. Outside of us, his albums will be number one and get all the awards. They say To Pimp a Butterfly is the undisputed GOAT album on Twitter. Shaking my head. Who says that, though? I don't know.
Who's saying that?
Yeah, I don't know, guys.
Nonsensical rhetoric.
CJ Kidd says, you guys can kill me, but the hip-hop community consensus considers Section 80 damn 5 mic albums. That's a straight 4. Unless there's other criteria to being top 10, no. What other solo artist has that?
Once again, I don't know how many times we have to come up here and do this. Way back yonder, before we had a podcast on YouTube, I wrote an article after Damn saying that Kendrick Lamar is arguably a top 10 MC of all time. Mike, the nucleus of that argument was based on that 4-album run. That was 5.5 years ago. This is hip hop. Things change. That's like Melly Mel trying to come out in 86 when Rakim just dropped Paid in Full. It's probably not going to work. You waited 5 years.
5 years is 5 years.
When Rakim left, Mike, what happened immediately like a year or two after he left? Well, Wu-Tang Clan and Biggie and Nas popped up. Different environment, different clientele.
Things change. LP says Joe Budden chose Jay-Z over Nas for Best Rapper Alive currently, with a few verses over Nas's last 3 albums. Nas gets disrespected no matter what he does. Well, that sounds like more of an industry answer too. And I got love for Joe Budden. I think Joe Budden does a great job. But, you know, sometimes people, when they speak and have all these relationships, they do things to favor those relationships. Andrew Green says, Kendrick is a top 10 hip-hop artist of all time, but definitely top 10 MC. He has crossed into that Kanye and Drake artist sphere. Kendrick does have a great discography, but let's not get that confused. I don't know if she meant definitely is or definitely not. We got a lot of action on this topic. Mad Max says, I'm going to say this again. All he has to do is write songs from 2 perspectives, every song, and add snappy jazz to it, and he's has a great imaginary. And he's a great imagery writer, like Ray and Nas. But other than that, he's average to pretty good.
Let's look at it from this perspective.
He's on to his process. I'm loving how Mad Max is breaking this down because that's interesting to me. He takes Twitter topics and takes both sides of them and makes songs. I hear that.
No, I can definitely hear that. Yeah. I mean, and you and I both, talked about the dangerous nature of some of his non-founded rhetoric on these records with the back and forth and the lack of balance. Let's look at it like if we were grading a paper. You see, what happens when you're like releasing an album every 2 to 3 year pace, and then that turns into double the time. Okay. Mm-hmm. That makes your work and the brevity of your catalog stand out more. And so that's why this misstep on a double album stands out more because, well, no, you were 4 for 4 and now you're 4 for 5. And if you divide 4 into 5, Mike, that's not 100%, that's 80%. And so you're hitting at an 80% clip now. That's a B minus. Right.
Andrew Green says,
here's the thing. If you would have made more albums, this wouldn't be an 80. It would probably be an 88, but you didn't do the work. And so now your ass is sitting in class with this B minus when you've had an A plus the whole time. Now go back and fix the shit and do your homework. You're only in school suspension. We want to hear some better bars.
But, and on top of that, you haven't been coming to class every year either. You went and got homeschooled for 5 years. Andrew Green says, there are people who have released twice as many albums as Kendrick and has just as many or fewer more classics. What do you say to that?
Well, The Game comes to mind because while The Game's catalog is better than Kendrick's, it's like, well, is he 4 for 5? No, but he like 10 for 13.
Game said he's better than Kendrick. What do you think about that?
I think that's not true either. Not inherently,
you
but
don't
the
think
catalog's better.
Than
you want to know why the catalog is better? I don't believe we're having this conversation again. It's been a nice year without having this conversation because everybody's been doing a good job about what, Mike? Going to work.
No, but you got Kendrick over Game.
No. People ain't asking too much of you. Like, your job is to be an MC and go to work. For 5 years, you chose not to go to work. But then you show back up with subpar material. So it's like, go look at the Game's catalog and tell me that Game can afford to take 5 years off and drop something subpar. You know what I mean? It's just not fair. And so you want these accolades, you want these Pulitzers, these Grammys, like, no. All that is fine. All we want you to do is make the great rap album that we're used to you making. That's the only thing that's been required of you. The only reason that he's in the top 10 with everybody else is about his ability to make albums. If he's not going to make those albums, he's not a top 10 all-time rapper. Period. That's just it.
Who do you have ranked higher, him or the Game? Do you got Kendrick over the Game?
Yeah, I mean, I can't slide Kendrick somewhere. Like, if I had him borderline top 10 5 years ago, I'm not going to slide him somewhere where I may have Game, which is probably 25 to 35. So I'm not going to put him that far back. But, I mean, I told you this and I've been saying this. But Jadakiss and Raekwon in that time who were here before him and have been doing stellar stuff since he's been gone and is part of so much classic stuff. It's like, oh, yeah, I got guys like that ahead of him, though.
I wonder what Joe Button would say about that. Like, I agree with you. I think Jada and Ray deserve to be above Kendrick. And see, the one knock on Jada is the album thing, but everywhere else, he got Kendrick. And see, Kendrick only has the album thing to lean on.
He even has Kendrick on the hit records without having the better album. How?
Yeah, he would smoke Kendrick in the verses. He definitely would.
How?
Mad Max with the super chat says, nobody considers Section 85 mics, but hardcore Kendrick fans. K-Dot is really for the artists, the artsy, purist crowd. Those people like Andre Tyler, the creator, etc. He's not for the under 30 crowd. Just say the artsy under 30 crowd, the hipster crowd. I mean, look at what he even wears on stage. He's clearly for the hipster crowd. Andrew L. Green says, I meant top 10 artists, but definitely not MC. Yeah, I figured that's what you meant, Andrew. We got Darren Harris with the super chat says, was either of you feeling that Prodigy Big Daddy Kane joint? Super underrated, very crisp production. Song of the year potential, in my opinion. Haven't heard y'all discuss it yet.
I like the Prodigy Kane joint. I thought it was underrated. I don't think it's necessary. I'm going to have to listen again because I would tell you the Mega Nas joint hit me harder.
Yeah, it was a dope record.
Than that one did. But
Nexus Point says Kendrick's album was an excellent and important body of work for the modern era. Therapy in hip-hop is much needed now, not a misstep at all. What do you say to that? Because I know you're a big proponent of therapy.
I am a big proponent of therapy because I've been to therapy. And, this is what I mean. Him talking about his mental health issues are not helping yours. Okay? So him speaking about what's going on, like it's almost like it's cathartic. It's healing him, but what healing is it providing you? It's like, a rapper speaking out about mental health issues. I hate to be the one to break it to you. Kanye's been doing that for a long time. Been doing that for a very long time and exhibiting the behavior to match, to go with it. You feel me? So it's like, because you want Kendrick to break new ground doesn't mean that he has. It's that you want Kendrick to win. This is what I mean. It's like, I told you, Mike, I just see it for what it is. You want these dudes who talk like they're your leader to be your leader. They're not. They barely know how to lead themselves. Listen to his rhetoric on this album. That's who you want to be led by? That's the guy that's the guy that you're believing in? Because he sounds like he's conflicted and struggling within himself on a daily basis. It doesn't sound like he's solving about anything. That's who you following?
36 Chambers says, nah, K-Dot does appeal to the under 30, but we are heads, and this circle is different than the mainstream. Look at K-Dot's streaming numbers. He's a pop culture number one. I will say this, guys. I don't think we need to get all wrapped up into streaming numbers. A lot of that stuff can be manufactured. Maybe I shouldn't say that on this platform, but I think that you kind of just have to gauge things by, the rhythms and vibrations that you feel out there. Not to try to sound all spiritual with it, but when something's hitting. And it's not like, the numbers are going to reflect that. Like I said, he was just on SNL, one of the biggest television network shows for live performers, and you didn't hear anybody say anything about all of that. You know what I mean? Like the streaming numbers or whatever, but you can feel when somebody does something of impact. You just can feel it. Jay Short says, K-Dot fans out here like flat earthers. Full denial. I wanted to say a couple of things, though. I think that it's very interesting that now they want to start the top 10 narrative after he drops an album that wasn't critically acclaimed. I feel like when it dropped, they tried to make it critically acclaimed, but the people, didn't latch on to it like we did on his previous efforts. I think Damn came around. I mean, do you think that not really just hip hop, but the way that we consume music now is virtually the same as the way we consumed music in 2017? So none of that's changed since he dropped Damn. You know what I'm saying? So if this album was dope like it needed to be, or like they say it is, it should have been able to have that same impact that Damn had, right? It's in a different
The songs
world.
aren't there. The songs just aren't good. That's
It's
what I keep.
not.
The songs just aren't good.
It's
And
not.
Mike, you're the one that called it. I was like, I don't know what's taking so long. I was like, I just know that it needs to be great when it comes out. And you literally have been saying for like about the last 2 years on the show, Mike, you're like, Coop, I don't think the songs are there.
No.
You've literally been up here telling me, you're like, Coop, the songs aren't there. You were like, Coop, if the songs were there, we would have had heard the album. Behind the scenes, Coop, if the songs were there, Coop, we would have heard the album. Like for 2 years, and then I come out and I hear it, and my first time I listened to it, I was like, Mike was right. I was like, these songs aren't here. So I don't know what's going on, but he doesn't have what he had. What he had that was all-time great was his song and album-making ability. There isn't much evidence of that on this album.
I think a big part of being a top 10 MC all time, because again, hip-hop from a recording standpoint, we're around 40 years old, something like that, right? We have to factor in the longevity of, an artist and how they've been able to be great for a long period of time, and how long their records stand up. Like those Rakim records, those records stand up. You know what I'm saying? And when you look at somebody like a Raekwon and Jada and how long that they've been so good and how many great things that they've been a part of over a big span of time, it's unfair to put somebody who was good for 5 years and then took a 5-year break and came back with something subpar over those guys. It just is.
Think about this. You know what I listened to today that I hadn't listened to in a long time? I listened to My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy. Because, there's been a lot of Kanye talk going on. And sometimes I feel like the biggest problem with Kanye is that new Kanye doesn't listen to the things that old Kanye used to say, My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy and before. But Raekwon's on Gorgeous. Okay, My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy is clearly the rap album of the year that year. It's one of the best rap albums of all time. It is the best rap album of the modern era, in my opinion. Okay?
I'm with that.
You with that? What if Raekwon is on KD3, Mike, and KD3 is the album of the year? Do you understand that Raekwon will be a part of the number 1, 2, and 3 albums of the year that we have rated? Like, impacting the culture sometimes is deeper than just you making a dope-ass album. There's different ways to impact it. And all I'm saying is that Ray's footprints are everywhere in places that you'll never find Kendrick, especially that guest appearance list. All you need to know is that he's on Cheat Codes and on Soul separately. He can go get with the gangster rapper that literally is part of the Vice Lords, and he can go get with the consummate bar for bar walking standard that Black Thought is, and fit in both worlds flawlessly and seamlessly, and go get in Kanye's world on Gorgeous, and go get in Nas's world if he needs to, in Schoolboy Q's world.
Yeah.
In Game's world.
Yeah.
In Prodigy and Mobb Deep's world. In Ghost world whenever Ghost call on him, Mike.
You're right. What I was going to say.
Mike.
He's on a
tell me Kendrick could have hopped around and did what Ray did. You telling me Kendrick would have blazed skewing on the bar with Outkast and did Eye for an Eye with Mobb Deep and Blind Threats with Schoolboy Q and Bulletproof Diaries with Game and The Darkest Part with Black Thought, and then go do the joint with Anderson .Paak and Gibbs? Look at the versatility we talking about off guest appearances. Where Kendrick got that like that?
Let me ask you this, though. I mean, let's be real about this, because I like Overly Dedicated a lot. But I think a lot of people will say that Kendrick's run starts with Section 80, Good Kid, Mad City, To Pimp a Butterfly, and Damn. Those 4, right? How many
I like
years?
Overly Dedicated too.
Huh?
I like Overly Dedicated
a lot.
I don't think it's that far off of Section 80, like for me personally.
I don't think so either. But I think that as far as like its critical acclaim and just being, I guess, a game changer per se, that starts with Section 80. So how many years can we say that Kendrick Lamar was good to great. I mean, we'll just say great because if we're talking top 10, we're talking about anybody that's great. And his albums, they speak for themselves. But how many years are we talking? We talking, what is that, 2010 to 17, excuse me?
No, see, this is what, yeah.
So we're talking 2010 to 2017, and obviously, breaks in between. Not a lot of really big features or feature run to really, talk about in that period. And I don't know if that's enough for top 10. And especially when we talk about the years that he dropped. We've already highlighted on the show before that his albums seem to have dropped in weaker hip-hop years, correct?
Well, Mike, I'm only pointing this out. It's like those Raekwon features. Well, those are on classic hip-hop albums in most of those cases. Okay?
All right, where are his classic features? Features on classic albums. Does he
features
have
on classic albums, Mike? He's on the infamous In Aquemini.
Again,
he's on the infamous. He's on My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy. You get what I'm saying? But Mike, let's not forget, he has two classics of his own. He has the Purple Tape 1 and 2. So let's not act like he is not the author of some solo album classics. Mike, he is also the main contributor to a Ghostface Killer classic called Iron Man. And another one people may think is classic called Bulletproof Wallets. And he is one of the focal points of Enter the Wu-Tang 36 Chambers. So his classic resume on any level has a group member, has a solo artist, has Batman and Robin playing Batman, has Batman and Robin playing Robin on Ghost Shit. Where do you want this guy? Kendrick don't have it like that. So don't just give me these 4 albums and tell me he's better than Ray. He can't do what Ray
I'm with that. Darren Harris with the
4 great
super
albums
chat.
is not enough to supplant Raekwon on my top 10 list anymore. Because I thought he was going to make more great albums. That's the only reason I had him ahead of Ray ever. No, you don't deserve to be ahead of Raekwon the Chef. Raekwon the Chef's top 10.
I'm going to get to these super chats, and I got a real big question I want to ask you in regards to him as well. Darren Harris says, does Dre play piano? A couple of YouTube videos already has proven that. I want to see it in an actual real performance, and I ain't talking about like the Super Bowl or whatever. Like, we know people who play. He picks around the piano. Let's just be real. You know what I'm saying? Like,
he picks around the piano, Mike?
Listen, this is from somebody who plays.
You don't.
I
Mike,
play
if you can't
instruments,
play,
man.
You don't talk about musicians that way. You know that as a musician, Mike. You said he picks around the piano.
Listen, I'll tell you this. All the years, and I know it's not fair to bring Prince in the argument or whatever, but all the years I've always viewed Prince as somebody who was a percussionist and, guitar player. And my first times seeing Prince at the piano, I'm like, oh yeah, he plays for real. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's real.
Yeah, he doesn't pick around.
He can go hop. Yeah. He can hop on it and go immediately.
Yeah, and so, and again, me seeing Dre behind the piano, I don't feel like that. I'm just being real with you.
Okay, Mike, we're talking about a musical genius, and then we're
talking about a musical genius in Dre too. That's what he's billed as. Okay, how about Is he not? Okay. He's not billed as some regular producer.
So Mike, there's the Hall of Fame that Michael Jordan and Magic Johnson and Larry Bird and LeBron and Kareem are in. And then there's like the other halls that it's like, no, Gary Payton and like David Robinson in that hallway down there. They ain't in this hallway. So like in that genius hallway, it's like, no. There's like Prince and like
Leonardo thought Dre was a genius.
And Albert Einstein. Like that's like, you get what I'm saying? Like he's not that kind of genius. Like
I thought
Prince,
Dre
like,
was a
high level genius. Like Albert Einstein, Leonardo da Vinci, Dr. Dre. Like, you know what I mean? That's not,
different levels of genius. Okay.
Different levels of genius.
All right. CJ Kidd with the super chat says, I think we should start by qualifying what constitutes as being top 10. Then we can say who is and who isn't. What I was going to ask you, I don't want to lose my train of thought. Hold on. Mad Max says, did his album really get people to go to therapy, though? You need to listen to his album again. This literally was a liberal agenda album. And Mad Max is on his shit today. I love it. Mad Max sound like me out there. And Gerald Green with the super chat says, maybe that's why Joe ranked K-Dot so high, because he is an advocate for mental health. I could see that. And his raps were definitely cathartic. K-Dot probably relates. Yeah, I could see that. Mad Max also says, look, if you're 24 to 33, K-Dot's pretty much that guy for a lot of those people. But I've worked with guys 23 and under, and they like Drake and Cole far more than Kendrick. K-Dot's media propaganda.
Said agent with an agenda.
LP says OD top 3 KD album. I'm sorry, K Dot album is better than To Pimp a Butterfly in my opinion. I got overly dedicated over To Pimp a Butterfly. Okay. Mad Max says Mike K Dot has been great from Good Kid, Mad City to Damn. That's it. Okay, he's narrowing that scope. Let me ask you this. Does Kendrick Lamar have any features on any classic efforts? Like any memorable features on classic efforts? Since we want to
on collard greens on Oxymoron. Okay. That was the only thing I could think of off the top of my head. He's on collard greens on Oxymoron. You tell me what else he's on this on a classic album.
I can't think of it. What are his best features? Like just for me,
he's on Jesus Piece, Mike. But how about this? He's on Jesus Piece.
Okay.
Kendrick, listen to what I'm saying. Kendrick Lamar on Jesus Piece. Cole and Pusha T's performances on Jesus Piece blow his performance out the water. Nobody ever talks about it.
Well, what do you think about his feature, The City, on what was that? The Red album?
Maybe.
Okay.
No, like none of that stuff. And the Red album's not a classic.
What about him on the documentary 2, the On and On sample?
That's cool. Ab Soul's verse on Dollar and a Dream is better.
People are saying Control.
Jay Electronica's better on Control, and that's not a classic rap album either. I'll wait for the classic rap album to get bought up outside of collard greens on Oxymoron.
I think it's noteworthy again that K-Dot.
I'll wait.
He's come out in weak hip hop years. I mean, is that fair to say?
How many people can rap after Nas in 1995 on a record? Raekwon closes out I for an I. You understand he's rapping after Nas.
People are bringing up One Train. Do y'all think he had the best verse on One Train? That's the most dangerous
job in rap in 1995, Mike. It's like you have to rap after Nas. It's like...
Do y'all think that he had the best verse on One Train? I'm seeing the How Many Drinks remix. I actually like the How Many Drinks without him.
I like both versions. Classic rap album, again, is what I will wait for. If I'm not mistaken, How Many Drinks is an R&B album by Miguel.
Well, I'm asking just for his best features at this point because I don't think he's...
How Many Drinks is his best feature, in my opinion.
You think so?
Yes. Oh, God, yes. It's his most memorable feature, in my opinion.
I liked him on...
In Problems.
What's the record called, man? It was a J-Rock song. I hear it in my head.
I know what you're talking about, but I can't think of the name. I know what you're talking about.
Mad Max of the Super Chat says, help me out in the chat, y'all. He said, LOL, honestly, K-Dot love is really Drake hate because he has this obsession with Drake, which propels him. He said he wants to battle Drizzy, but never said his name. But he's top 10, laughing my ass off. You know, that's an interesting thing where K-Dot was always poking Drake, it felt like. And obviously it was something that never happened, but I don't know, man. It's like the competitiveness. Are you
listening to the records that are being named next to the Raekwon records that I named? I'm talking about I for an I. I'm talking about Gorgeous. I'm talking about Skewing on the Barbie. Like, you hear what I'm saying?
You're right.
You hear what I'm saying?
You're right. Mad Max says, best verse on One Train is Crick and Rocky. K-Dot's best feature is Nostalgia. There you go.
There you go. There we go.
That's the one. That is his best feature.
That is his best feature.
And I don't even know if he had the best verse. That's a great verse, though.
Didn't have the best verse. Keep trying to tell people that, too. I told you, he got, like, Pusha T is a great team player because he comes from a duo. He set Kendrick up for that verse with his bars. Like Doughboy to Trey. If he rides, he rides. Throwing punches in his room. If he cries, he cries. That's the scene from Boys in the Hood. Mm-hmm. He's doing a song with a West Coast rapper. This is Simon Says. Simon Red has in Suge. It's the setup that makes the verse better. Kendrick can't set up an artist like that the way Pusha set him up, and that's where Pusha won. He's the better collab. He's like, yeah, you think this guy's going to steal the show. You're not understanding. I'm setting him up and still getting my rocks off. Higher degree of difficulty, better verse.
Wow, Freestyle was the record I was talking about. Jay Short says, when Nas, Jay dropped Duds, they got back in the studio. Kendrick's doubling down and extending promo on his mediocrity. Makes me think that he has few ideas left. That's where I was gonna go, and that's where I lost my train of thought. I want to ask you: do you think it's over? Do you think that he has any more left in the chamber? Do you think that this is where we're at when it comes to Kendrick? Does he have a bounce back album in him, in your opinion?
I'm very concerned, but here's what I'll tell you. If you feel like the well is empty, stop trying so hard. Like, Mike, you've been there. You've been an MC before. You're still a writer. Like, the worst thing to do when you write something bad or you make something bad is to try too hard to remove the stench. You have to continue to be who you are. If that well is empty, and listen what I'm about to say, well, how dope of an MC are you? Because you have guys like the KRS-One who was able to pull an album out of his hat this year that we still gave a 4 out of a 5 rating because it deserved it. It's good enough to be so. I mean, I'm going to submit this to people carefully. Nas is always talking about something inherently because that's just who he is as an MC. But Magic isn't necessarily about anything, Mike. Nas is just a brilliant MC who can say stuff and start off records like, I got so many kids in the game, like it's a gender revealing. I got that feeling Lionel Richie dancing on the ceiling. You feel what I'm saying? He's just the MC's MC at the end of the day. So even when there's nothing to talk about, he knows how to talk about it and talk to you because that's what top 10 MCs are made of, Mike. So we really about to find out how great he really is because Nas' first verse is 1991. KRS-One's first verse is like 1986, Mike.
Yeah.
These guys have still found it within themselves to make dope material far before, literally decades before Kendrick even existed or touched the mic. So if he is everything that the media and that those who stand behind him say he is, he damn well better.
We're about to see.
Now the pressure's really on and we about to find out.
We're about to see.
I don't think how about this? There's never been an MC this great under this type of pressure to make a dope project because everybody know this project ain't any good.
You got to come right back because even after Nostradamus, Nas came with Stillmatic like a year later.
Which had Ether on it, Mike. And then he came with Lost Tapes and Godson.
Well, this is what I've always thought of Nas. I felt like this about T.I. too. They make the best material when they're angry. And I feel like that's what makes Nas's run right now so impressive is the fact that life is good, literally. And he's making good music without having to be pushed to anger. Yeah. And I think that's like, whoa, this guy's definitely the GOAT. Now, back to K-Dot. I don't think that the Kendrick you guys have heard, and we all have heard from Damn and before, that's over. We're not getting anything like that anymore. That's my prediction. We're not getting anything to that level anymore.
No,
I think this is the level that we're at.
Songwriting-wise, maybe not. But this is what I mean, Mike. Those aren't necessarily always his best song. Why can't he go back and make Money Trees and Real and records like that? Me and my niggas trying to get it, you bitch. You get what I'm saying? It don't have to be all this whole, I'm a savior. No, I'm not a savior. I don't know what I want to be. Let me put this crown of thorns on my head. It's like, we just rap, fam.
You know where we're at right now with Kendrick? And maybe it's a stage. You know where we're at right now with Kendrick in his career? And maybe it's a stage. Hopefully it is. He's taking himself too seriously. And I say
what I mean.
I say that respectfully, you know. And I'm not saying that like, you know, he's not a person to take serious. I'm saying that he's putting all these pressures on himself. And like you said, you just need to go out there and make some music, man. Fuck all that. Have some fun with it. But at this point, everything is so serious. Everything has to be so epic. All these songs have to be written in such a, literary term, and you don't do all that. Go out there and have fun. Have fun with it, man. You can tell when artists are having fun with their material. I don't feel like he had fun with this album, and it shows.
Doesn't sound like he's having fun with life or fame or success or anything. And it's like I don't know, fam. If you at this age and you got this money and you got this fame and you got this wealth and like you're not happy, maybe you should make some changes. But
it sounds like he's done with the music shit. Like that's how I feel. Like when I hear an album like this, it's like when Michael Jackson made History. It's like, yeah, You're kind of over this shit, right?
Right. But that's the thing. How are you over it when like you've been on you haven't been really a part of it. You haven't been part of the cycle or the engine or the machine for like 5 years.
Well, it
Other
just
than people
shows you how
talking about
difficult
like
this
you haven't been a
is.
part of it. So what's been so unhappy? I mean, it's like, like
Well, this just shows you how difficult it is. Certain people make things look easy. Like Michael Jordan made what he was doing look easy. Not only did he have to deal with dominating people on the court, he had to deal with the media. He had to deal with the whole gambling allegations and all of that stuff. He had to deal with everything, but he made that shit look so easy. And when you look at Kobe Bryant, who I feel like he patterned himself after Michael Jordan in every sense of the word. You could tell that shit wasn't as easy for him. Jordan made a lot of the things that Kobe went through outside of, whatever, but just how he was, isolated and not really loved by certain teammates and all that stuff. Jordan dealt with all that, but you never saw it. He made that shit look easy. And so what we're seeing with K-Dot, a lot of the things that some of the greats have done and the runs that they've been on, they made all those things look easy, where it's like you're seeing the struggle with him.
I mean, this is a lot for somebody who's been around since 2009, we're in 2022. What's that? It's 13 years?
Yeah.
And this is album number 5?
Are we counting Overly Dedicated?
If we're counting 2009, we're counting Overly Dedicated.
All right, so Overly Dedicated, Section 80, Good Kid, Mad City, To Pimp a Butterfly, Damn. This is album 6.
Okay, so let's look at it like this. Overly Dedicated is 2009.
There's no pressure there. And that's why I start with Section 80.
Listen to what I'm saying. Overly Dedicated is 2009, right?
Mm-hmm.
Damn is 2017, okay?
Yep.
So you did 5 albums in 8 years?
I can divide. And honestly, 2 of those came in a 2-year period, right? Because Section 80 was 2010.
Section 80 is 2010, the following year.
Yeah.
Correct. And then you get Good Kid, Mad City in 2012.
Now you're getting breaks.
Now you're getting breaks. Now the breaks are extending themselves. It's like you can't make somebody built for this if they're not built for it. And it's like it's just better that you say that you're not built for it if that's the case. But but a lot of that has to do with people, being honest about what they're not hearing from this album. Like I told you, like Mike, I've heard nobody riding around talking about this album. The streets aren't buzzing about this album. People in hip hop circles that cover this aren't giving this some glorious rating. It doesn't deserve one. It's not. Are
people even buzzing about the tour?
I mean, I'm sure the tour is better than the album. It better be.
Yeah. Billy Bars with the super chat says, Nas is at his best when he's backed up into a corner. I agree. And he is at his best when he's at the top of the game. Hold on a second. And they talk about versatility, simply the GOAT.
I get what he's saying. He's saying no matter what circumstance you put him in, he thrives.
Yeah. 36 Chambers says, y'all feel like the K-Dot's about to leave music like 3000? It sounds, I've seen these signs before in artists, and this album sounds like I'm not about to make anything else album. I'm sorry, it does to me.
It sounds more like I can't than I don't want to. Like he's reaching too far. He's trying too hard. It's like, no, fam, like go spin the block, go kick it with the homies, go do normal people stuff again.
Yeah.
Like one of the great quotes that I remember is like when Capone and Noriega were working on the reunion. Noriega was talking about like, we took all the chains and the jewelry off. I stopped driving my whips and I just got and started riding the train again.
That's on some that's on some Rocky 3 shit.
Right. No.
Right. Apollo take you to the hood to start training. You done got too shiny out here, Rocky.
Yes. Yes. Straight like that.
You got to get back to punching the meat, man. Pause. Mo Better Code says, this album didn't have Terrence Martin production. Is it just a production thing? Listen, and this is what I do want to say, though, because I want to give credit where credit's due, and I don't want to sound like we done changed up. When the album dropped, I was impressed with the songwriting, and I'm still impressed with the songwriting. I think that it's some of the most impressive songwriting of this year. I think Auntie Diaries is one of the best written records. Ma I Sober, some of the best written records that we're gonna hear. Even the record where he's going back and forth with his girl. But see, the replayability is the issue, and I think that no matter how great your records are written, if people aren't playing them or inclined to play them, it's hard to really put them at a high level. I would be a hypocrite. I say the same thing about Eminem stuff, you know. So we got to keep things balanced. We can't be moving the goalpost. And yes, with all that being said, whereas Kendrick could have been, top 10 and maybe still can be. If you want to say that after Damn and want to talk about his trajectory, fine. But to say that he's top 10 after this effort and after a 5-year break, I think that's just, I don't think that's a good basis to go on.
Okay, so this is what I mean. Are you familiar with the book Wuthering Heights?
I'm not. Introduce our audience.
I mean, Wuthering Heights is a novel, and pretty much it's a brilliant novel. But for its time, it was considered to be controversial because it addressed cruelty, domestic violence, and things of the nature. Some of the rhetoric that's taking place on Mr. Morale is comparable to what's taking place on Wuthering Heights. You see, but the difference is when Wuthering Heights was first released, nobody had ever talked that way in a book before. It had been written about before. And so it's like you're covering material that's been covered before. You being the better writer doesn't mean that you have the ability to make the better song. This is still about entertainment. And so this is what I mean. It's like these topics and these ideas are not original. Other artists have forged questions into mental health, domestic abuse, and violence, but because it's Kendrick, this grandiose nature gets attached to it like it's groundbreaking. And I'm like, well, this isn't Wuthering Heights. Like that Cry Together song, like that's not the first song that's addressing domestic abuse or violence on some sort of level in hip hop. I mean, there's all sorts of forms that. If there's the satire version of it with Rizzo on domestic violence, there's Cool G rap with like Slap My Bitch Up. Like, you feel what I'm saying? Like, yeah. Like these subject matters have been forged, but when Kendrick forged them, it gets treated like it's Wuthering Heights when it's not. Like, hold on, let me see when Wuthering Heights came out. Wuthering Heights was, it was published in 1847. You see, talking about domestic violence in England in 1847 on record or in like literary text, probably a little controversial and groundbreaking. People are trying to make this more than what it is. It's not groundbreaking. It's not legendary. What is great about this is the songwriting, not even the rapping. The songwriting, the same way what's great about It's Almost Dry is the rapping. But the rapping on here isn't good enough to take it to a place of being considered. You feel me?
What's the best verse on this album? And then we'll move on to the next subject.
Mike, it has been so long since I listened to that album.
Okay. I think that's fair. I want to ask the people in the chat, what is the best verse on the Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers? Because y'all say we're going hard on Kendrick. That's not what we're, that's not what we're planning to do. We're just, talking about this top 10 thing. And we're talking about where this album basically is placed in this year. Because, again, we've had many conversations about 2022 and the best albums of the year. And really, man, we're not trying to just skip over Kendrick's album because it was highly anticipated, but it's just not in our conversations.
It's not good. How about this? Nobody is pulling up in this chat that loves Kendrick and talking about the great songs that we should be mentioning or talking about because it's not there. They're just saying we're slandering him. And that's how I know we're right, because if there was evidence, Mike, people wouldn't just be saying, oh, y'all talking about this man personally, like y'all doing that stuff. Y'all would be giving us evidence. And you all know, too, that are listening, watching right now, that there isn't any real evidence of that because we're right. Y'all would be bringing up, well, what about this song? What about that song? You know those songs aren't any good because, you're not playing them like that either. You just want Kendrick to win. I told you, they want Kendrick and Yasin and Lupe and those guys to win. And it's like, I hate to break it to you. It's like guys like Freddie be popping up and making better music, like this year.
They're saying the opening verse on the album, and you know what? I do agree with this statement. If The Heart Part 5 was on the album, it would be the best verse on the album, yes.
I agree with that too, but that's not a good thing, though. You all understand that?
Definitely. All right, so let's get to the actual show topic, man. Did you hear about Mace, Jadakiss, and Cameron's tour, the Three-Headed Monster tour, being canceled?
Mm-hmm.
All the dates got canceled, and I want to get to what Mace said. Mace alluded to the fact that somebody wanted him to apologize to someone, and that's why the shows got canceled. Let me get to his post. Mace says, them, apologize or no show. Me, cancel all the dates. I will not apologize for what's right. He said, it's time to show cowards what fearless looks like. I'm not stopping nothing that I'm doing, so y'all can cancel all the dates. I will not apologize for what's right. Either way, I will be performing somewhere. Stay tuned. Album's coming. Also, to my number one hater, make sure that you pull up since you're trying to stop everything that I do. We know what's going on, but it's not going to stop nothing. Can't stop, won't stop. I really hate that, man. I was looking forward to seeing Jada, Mace, and Cam do some stuff together. I hope they release an album after this.
But did you see how they were pitching it? The first thing I wanted to bring up, remember I was telling you about the Children of the Corn comeback? Well, they were pitching it as Killer Cameron, Murder Mace, and Jadakiss. So I believe there's a Children of the Corn album coming soon, and here's why. Well, two of those guys, some sort of way, kind of belong to Puff on some publishing level type of stuff. Mostly Mace.
Yeah.
If I may, Mike, I'm going to talk about something. You know, I used to run and hang out with some of Bad Boy's old crew, most notably Mark Curry. I have Mark Curry's right here, his book from 2009. He signed it for me and everything. This is Curry's handwriting.
That's what's up.
No, but Mike, it's 2009. I'm going to show you the title of the book. See that?
Oh, what's it say? Back up a little bit. Oh, I've never heard of this book.
I bet you haven't, Mike.
I've never heard of this book.
That's why we're going live right now talking about it.
Well, yeah, I'm interested.
I told you, like my stories are real. I really used to hang out with these guys. This is a signed copy from Mark Curry. This is Dancing with the Devil, How Puff Burned the Bad Boys of Hip Hop. Mike, there's stuff about Mason here. See, people should really know that the information is really out there if you want to find it, even though people try to suppress it. So what I'm going to do right now is plug my man Mark Curry's book and tell him that this stuff Mace talking is real, and a lot of the information is here from another Bad Boy artist, Mark Curry's Dancing with the Devil from 2009. Now, Mike, in here, it talks about, where are we going to go?
Listen, guys, I had no idea that Coop had this book. I'm anticipating this wasn't even a part of the show. Go ahead.
Yeah. Once Puff realized that he wouldn't be able to siphon enough studio time to finish Black Rob's album, he reluctantly gave Black Rob a recording budget. Although the album went platinum, Puff had given him such a convoluted contract that Black Rob, a dropout with no job skills, was flat broke by the time it was released. To avoid the embarrassment of people finding out that he couldn't afford to pay child support with his meager publishing royalties from Life Story, while Puff was living in luxury, Black Rob resorted to petty crime. 5 months after his album dropped, he was serving time for burglary. Being poor will do that to a man. You're young and confident, you see a golden opportunity. So you start signing stuff without recognizing that the devil is in the details. Mace was in a similar predicament. Fortunately, Mace got so much media attention from his rhymes on the remix of Only You by Atlanta's 112 that everybody suddenly wanted him on their songs. Within 6 months, Mace had recorded with Mariah Carey, Brian McKnight, Busta Rhymes, and Puff, of course. Puff even dubbed Mace onto a couple of songs that Biggie had left in the vault. Mace is the only Bad Boy artist I can recall whose album was released within a year of signing. In fact, it was partially the success of his quadruple platinum Harlem World album in 1997 that prompted BMG to give Puff such a generous distribution deal. This is from somebody live who was there that wrote a book about it.
Interesting. LP with the super chat says, this is why what Nas, Wu, and Busta did is so major. They just did a full sound out tour while other cats are canceling shows due to poor sales. I don't think that's why the shows were canceled. Like I said, Mace is alluding to the fact that someone was blocking this opportunity, and Mace made it very made a point to say that he wants to do the tour. Now, I don't know if, again, I don't know anybody in these situations. So I don't know if Mace is playing to a public narrative of what, people feel about, Diddy and the back and forth that they just had. But who knows what's really going on. I just hope that these guys are able to actually, and we've had a conversation about this before when we were talking about the baby. I don't feel like anybody should be blocked from opportunities. You know what I'm saying? If the people want to see whoever, put that onus on the people. I just don't like the notion of somebody stepping in and stopping the opportunity. Did you ever see that Murder Inc. documentary?
I'm not finished, but I'm almost done. I got a couple other things in the queue.
One thing I didn't like, and I wanted to kind of, and I like Irv, man. I fuck with Irv heavy. But Irv said something on there where he was like, he tried to block all of 50's opportunities in New York. And that's how 50 ended up, with Interscope. And he was like, damn, I shouldn't have done that. Yeah, you shouldn't have done that. Don't block people because things will work. Like, the universe is going to work shit out.
Oh, Mike, I just want to say the chapter that I was reading from is chapter 13 called Slave Driver.
When was this book released and where can people get this book?
This is 2009 that it was released because that's when Curry signed it for me. You're going to have to dig for it. I mean, I got an original copy from the artist because I used to hang with the artist. I told you, Mike Curry used to sit in my car and, listen to my music with me. Like, when I played in Ghetto Concerto, I'll never forget. He was like, I'll walk you into a label right now with that record. That's somebody that sat at the table with Puff telling me that. It's like, I'll take that for my life over, niggas in the street. I was like, Coop, you okay? It's like, whatever, nigga. Curry and I worked with Bad Boy and told me that he walked me in the studio like, fuck your feelings. You know what I mean? Our relationship was like that. So I got an original copy. You know what I mean? Like, look. It's called Dancing with the Devil.
So, people will have to dig.
How Puff burned the bad boys of hip-hop.
Well, I'm sure that, you might not be able to just get this on Amazon, but I'm sure it's an interesting
they suppress information like this. Funny how that happened.
Well, that's an interesting insert from the book that you actually read. But hopefully that tour gets back up and running. But what I want to see from this is they want to know what the book's called again.
Dancing with the Devil, How Puff Burned the Bad Boys of Hip Hop by Mark Curry, former Bad Boy recording artist who was there firsthand for a lot of that stuff. A lot of this book is based in Atlanta, Mike.
That's interesting. So what all does this book cover? Everything? Because I want to know what time periods of Bad Boy that he was there for.
Oh, Mike, this covers a whole lot. Curry's been around since, he's around when Big died.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? He's right on the back end of that. You know what I'm saying? Like, all this information, like with Black Rob and the locks and all that. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Okay, the book is on Amazon. Okay, cool.
Okay.
We're good. But, I might need to check it out, man. I like reading information like that. And I know, everybody
very has informational, Mike. It's very informational.
So you've read it a few times, I would imagine, right?
It's very informational.
Well,
how about this? Half this book don't got nothing to do with music shit.
Yeah. Like I said, hope we get a 3-headed monster mixtape or something, man. I would love to hear Jada, Mace, and Cam do a whole little project together. And hopefully they get this tour up and running too and get it back on track because I know a lot of people are looking forward to seeing it. And I know people were disappointed when they found out that all the dates got canceled. It's just crazy, man. So this coming Friday, what do we got? We got Lil Baby, we got Jeezy.
Correct. Did you listen to the Toby?
I was gonna ask you about that record. I did listen to the Toby. You want to talk about that real quick?
I do.
Go ahead.
I want to hear your thoughts first, because I wanted to be intrigued by your thoughts because of the instrumentation being used and because of the concepts being used.
It's very theatrical.
Yes.
And it almost put me in the mind of Kendrick Lamar type of influence. I know we talk about all the time, like, where Kendrick's kids in this whole, hip hop universe currently. But I could tell that, it's very Kendrick influence, maybe more so to of a Butterfly type of Kendrick. But the quality's there. And I say this respectfully. It kind of puts me in the mind of, from a theatrical standpoint, like this is something that needs to be put on stage. Kind of like when you're even watching Empire and the songs that get played in those scenes and things like that, just sonically. And yeah, I thought it was a dope project. It's hard to really rate those type of albums up against, whatever else is going on in hip hop, because again, it's so theatrical. So, I mean, I think that the quality's there. It's a top 5 quality of the year type of project, and the content's there. But I need to give it a few more listens on that. It's crazy when you have like a Rome Streetz album out there and you got an album like this out there. It's just,
I was just thinking, it's beautiful. I was thinking about the Rome Street album in relationship to this too. I don't think that it has the pure hip hop aesthetic that you might look for that the Rome Street album has. But listen to what I'm about to say. Well, this is kind of something different and something new to me. Like a lot of the credit that we were given the Black Star album, like for the innovation of it, it's like, well, this is actually what it was supposed to sound like, quality and theme wise. Like I was telling you, it's like I was listening to these tracks and these themes, and I was like, no, this is what y'all seen in Talib should have been on with Mad Lib. You know what I'm saying? Like this sound, this wave. Because one thing that I like about this project, I've been following Toby for a few years. None of the old stuff is really on here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I Hope You Catch This Wave and like all that. Like he obviously has, a well of material because he didn't use any of his old stuff that was popping on YouTube.
Right.
Another thing, his wife Fat. I mean, I think she's a star, Mike.
People are saying there's a whole stage play for this on his YouTube channel. He shot a video for everything. So I'm going to definitely check that out.
I can totally see that. Good.
But yeah, you were talking about his wife.
Fat, yeah. Fat is dope. Like as an MC, singer, chanter, like she is like literally a jack of all trades. I would love to just hear them, just them, on like some rap Ashford and Simpson type. You know what I mean? I really would.
We've never had that in hip hop, right?
That's what I mean. They're exciting to me. It's like, I'm like, hold on. Because, he's such a strong figure vocally, and she does so many different things. I would love to hear an album of him kind of like in the center with her dancing around him musically with all of her various rhyming, singing, and just talents in general. You know what I mean? Like, I think that could be something potentially special, like on some Ashford and Simpson type stuff, because they're not on no like Bonnie and Clyde theme, but kind of are. It's kind of like if Erykah Badu and Common were gangsters or something. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that's kind of how they behave, but I like the behavior. I love the music. I think this might be our sleeper of the year. That's why I was telling you I wanted you to listen to it. I think this is our sleeper of the year. This is the album that nobody's talking about, that really isn't missing anything that people should be talking about. It's got great guest features. It's got a woman's perspective and balance because his wife is on there and she's super talented and dope as well. What do you want? Content, subject matter? What do you want? Beats? You feel me?
I think we got a few sleepers this year. I think this is definitely one of them. I think Method Man's album, to a degree, is one of them as well.
Yeah.
I think that Rome Streetz is kind of going to end up in that territory also. I think Ramona Park. This has been a really good year.
The Vince?
Yeah.
See, but here's the thing. Listen to all those artists that you named. They're known more than Tobe is. Like, Vince already has his following. Meth already has his following. Like, those guys have their followings. Like Tobe is somebody that could still go into new territory with his following.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I mean about Sleeper of the Year. Like, when I mean Sleeper of the Year, I mean the same way I felt about Reasonable Drought with Stove, where it's like, oh, no, it's like that guy.
Yeah.
That album. Like, that's new. That's different. Plug that guy. Put that guy up the bat.
Tell people what project we're talking about, because Mad Max is asking.
Oh, it's called Mo Mints, but it's like spelled out like M-O and then Mints, like M-I-N-T apostrophe S.
When you made the whole Ashford and Simpson thing, with, him and his wife being able to make music together, and that's something we've never seen. Yes. I still hope that T.I. and his son that, is at a high level of rhyming. I wish they would make a little project together, man. I think that was such a missed opportunity to not put that song out initially. They waited 2 years to shoot that video for the song with him and his son. And I said that back when we started our podcast. I think I was like, man, they really missed the opportunity with putting this record out, because when do you ever hear? I mean, E40 and his son make music together, but high profile mainstream artists like somebody like a T.I. and his son being able to make, music together, and someone being able to make music with their wife is dope as well. Yeah, we need those different kind of.
We need those perspectives, Mike. I just thought about something. It's like, I was like you. I was like, I know plenty of people have played husband and wife on the mic before. It's like, but nobody's actually been husband and wife on the mic before like this. And they are like, they're talking about their kids and stuff. You know what I mean? They talk about their roles as like the wife and the husband. It's refreshing. It's dope. It's honest.
The songs write themselves.
Songs write themselves.
You're literally in a group with each other every day.
Yeah. I mean, who are you spending most of your time with? That's your life partner.
Yeah. Yeah.
So if your life partner is like, a rapping ass Beyonce.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. And it reflects real life for both of them. Like that'd be a dope project that I'm sure a lot of people could relate to.
No, I'm just saying they need to do it without the features. Like the features on here were nice, but they can be the stars of their own show and like kind of cut the features down a little bit. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And make it more of a condensed effort between the two of them. Because the only thing that my only critique about this album it is a little all over the place, even though I know that is intentional because it's kind of themed out that way. And when you're doing something theatrical, you need moving parts and pieces, mostly characters. But they can do a concept album, just, husband and wife, and make it work too. So,
36 Chambers,
project.
36 Chambers with the super chat says, how do you feel about the Your Old Drogs Yachty Dangerfield album? I thought it was one. I'm sorry. I thought that one was pretty dope as well for Sleeper of the Year. Yeah, I think that was a dope album too. We were talking about that album a few weeks back. And how dope we thought that was. I think we ended up covering that on like a Wednesday. Yeah, that was a dope album also.
We did talk about Your Old Droogs album. Though. Yeah. I'm not sure what we rated it. We're going to have to go back and listen to it again, but I'm with
that
you.
That could be a Sleeper of the Year album too, yeah.
Yeah, that's a contender for that. I don't think it's as inviting as this one overall, although the bar work might be better.
I'm with this one being in the lead. What are you expecting from Jeezy's album on Friday? Because Jeezy's dropping... with DJ Drama on Friday, and Lil Baby's dropping. I mean, a lot of people are making buzz about Lil Baby, and he put out a single called Hey or something like that.
Yeah. I know Lil Baby's dropping because my daughter literally asked me upstairs when she got home before I came down here. She's like, Lil Baby's dropping soon, right? I was like, Friday. She's like, yeah, I've been here. I was like, right. That's the word. As far as the Jeezy is concerned, I don't know what to say, Mike. As a fan, I know you're not as big a fan as me, but I'll tell you this. He hasn't given me a reason in a long time, quite frankly, musically as a fan, to really be excited about his efforts. It's usually about 2 or 3 songs that I find that I like, and then I usually find myself fading on those songs rather quickly. And so I hope this project is a revival of sorts, but I doubt it, and so not super excited. We'll see what he does with it,
That's Darren Harris has a good point with his super chat. He says 2088 did hip hop's Ashford and Simpson already. Yeah, that was Big Sean and Janae. Jay Short says, "Oh, y'all forgot about the Carters album." So it has been done. No. I like the Carters album. I'm not tripping on that. I like the Carters album. I thought it was dope.
Okay, what
didn't like the Carters album?
What Toby and Fat are doing is not what Hov and B are doing. I think we know that. I think we know that. Shame on you.
Well, she raps too. I think that's the thing that
Who does?
Yeah. Huh?
Who?
Fat.
Oh yeah, no. Yeah. Fat got bars.
Yeah. She raps. So I think that they're
that's
naming
what I mean. No.
They're just naming rapper singer combinations.
No, that's what I mean. No.
Guys rap, yeah.
I've been listening to Fat and Toby for a couple of years now. Fat can do almost anything. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like that's what makes me excited about it is that like his presence and her versatility and the fact that she is a really dope MC. Oh yeah.
All right, so Jeezy has a B-side concert as well. Like, are you excited about that?
Where is that at?
I would imagine it's in Atlanta somewhere. Let me see.
Yeah.
Jeezy, it might be on Tidal. Who knows? I got it right here. It says one night and one night only for all of my day ones. Doing all your mixtape favorites, DJ Drama. Make sure you click the link in my bio for details. Limited space. Let me click this link. Live TV, man. Let's see where this is at. It's loading. Yep, says this event is currently unavailable.
Fascinating.
Huh. Okay. Anyway, I mean, what do you think about a B-side Jeezy show? Like, what songs is it going to be everything from 05, or do we have, like, some
definitely
recent
gonna be
B-sides?
a very Trap or Die 2-ish, Mike. Very Trap or Die 2-ish. Said B-sides, right?
Yeah.
The stuff like
Lose
My Mind. You know what I mean?
Well, that was a single, wasn't it?
No, think about it. That never came. That's not on 103. That was only on the Drama mixtape. That's a B-side. Ballin' with Lil Wayne, B-side. That never came out on any album. It's a B-side.
You know, I love You Dig, man. That was my shit back then.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Stuff like that.
Like
That's what I mean. So some of that stuff is B-sides. You're like, oh no, that's a Jeezy single. It's like Lose My Mind didn't go anywhere but Trap or Die 2. Actually, it didn't end up on 103. Same thing with Ballin'.
You know what I think is interesting, though? I think that just like with the whole... Jeezy does a lot of things Jay-Z does, right? And I'm going to have to clarify that statement. As far as like his approach to his legacy. Jay-Z knows his strongest efforts are his B-sides. I think that's why he came up with that whole B-side concert terminology. Even when they were talking about the verses. Somebody's talking about, I don't like Jeezy, I like Pastor Troy. Even when they were talking about the verses, the first thing that Jay-Z said, I got B-sides. Yeah, those are the ones you're going to use. And I think Jeezy knows his strongest records are the B-sides as well. Saying all that to say, I think that for him to go in this chamber, does it feel like this new project that him and Drama are doing, are releasing Friday, is going to be more so in the vein of that Jeezy and the things they did there, as opposed to trying to do something more commercially viable?
I don't know. He's been doing this whole modern day James St. Patrick vibe for a few years now, and now he's married with a kid, and it's like, we back to trapping? We back to trapping? We back on the block? We not running the club no more and funneling drugs through the club? It's always James St. Patrick. No, back to trapping. You feel what I'm saying?
He just had, he had Stacey Abrams at the Snowball, which was right. And this album is called Snowfall. So if this is taking on, it sounds like it's taking on that that Ghost image, if you will. So Jeezy is Ghost, and Jay Jenkins is James St. Patrick. Is that safe to say? I mean, he just had the mayor of Atlanta on a One Music Fest stage dancing with him well, actually, he was kind of like the hype man. The mayor was actually the hype man for a Jeezy record, and then you had, the governor candidate and Stacey Abrams on the stage right next to Lil Duval while he's lighting it up. It's wild. So I don't know what to expect. That's some of everything. Huh?
It's very problematic.
It's some of everything. You know what I think we're going to get? I think we're going to get...
Not in a good way.
Not in a good way, no. I think Friday we're going to get some street Jeezy. Because I think that's what the whole Drama partnership is about. And I think that's what they're rolling out these B-sides for.
I feel it's just, the Freddie Gibbs and the Conways and the Pusha T's and the Benny the Butchers of the world that navigate these waters so well currently. How is he going to sound to those guys? Because I like it when guys come back and do what they do well. And I guess he would fit the mold of that. But let's look at somebody, and this is what I mean, while carving out a certain niche, is important if you're not like a certain caliber MC. Let's look at Cameron's album, which is really, really dope because it's dope because Cam's doing Cam things.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not expecting Cam to give me Jadakiss bars. You feel me? Even though I know Cam can rap his ass off. You feel me?
Right.
And it's like for what Jeezy's style of music is. Like, I mean, like literally somebody who learned from under him just made the album of the year. I mean, Gibbs just made Soul Sold separately. How is Jeezy's project about the sound and stand next to Gibbs' project like his former protege?
I was going to make a prediction. And I
traveling in now. As much as I love him, we got to be honest about the conjecture.
I was going to make a prediction. I think Freddie Gibbs is going to be on this project.
I would love that.
I think
that would be amazing.
I think that the apology and all of those things are coming right in line for that to happen.
I would love to see Jeezy win. Because I'm going to come up on this show Friday if it's banging like, hey.
Oh, yeah. You're going to come on this show Friday like Shannon Sharp with the goat mask.
Right. Right. Like, it's trapping season again, everybody. We have to robbing niggas again. Yes.
Snowfall.
Yes. Been waiting for it.
LP says Starships and Bankhead. He says Starships and Bankhead, Get Right are the ones.
That's what I'm saying. Get right. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He's got heaters, Mike. I mean, he's just somebody that you gotta feel. That's what I mean. Is it's like
get Pusha T on there too, because I love Illin.
Illin might be the best record on Trap or Die too, Mike. You know how I feel about the clips. That's prime clips too. Yeah. That's right off of Hell Hath No Fury clips. Like
coldest summer ever. Middle of the summer months. Yeah.
Coldest
winter ever. Middle of the summer months. Yeah. See my cocaine cumper bun. Tuxedo all white. Similar to my prom night.
Prom night. Teachers even saw jail.
They ain't seen my palms right. My future brighter than ever. Flow gets better by the year. Killer minus the tattoo tears. Man.
Murder don't mix with the shit we got floating in by the pier.
Tell Hova don't pass the crown so soon unless you got a crown for every writer in the room. It's too many spirits on these ghost written tunes so you can't crown an air until you seance the room. Yeah.
And this is what I mean. They're fresh off of it, Mike. You know, this is right after Hell Hath No Fury is when Tony got locked up for all the conspiracy and racketeering with the RICO shit, and they were under pressure. So they're on Illin talking reckless. Like Tony just got locked up, and they like.
Illin's crazy, man. So yeah, I hope we can get Pusha T on that project. I hope we can get Freddie Gibbs on there. And
I know Tip's gonna be on there probably.
I hope so. I really do, because that's the thing about T.I., man. I think T.I. has been rapping at a very high level. And for somebody of his stature and who's put so much into the game, people have been ignoring his recent efforts.
It's like the comedy.
The Libra Scale album is a good album, man.
It is.
And his mic performances are dope on there. And people act like it didn't happen.
It was one of our top 20 rap albums, and it deserved to be, and his bar work on there was at a high level. He's not who he used to be, but very few people are.
I think from a bar work level, he's not far from where he used to be. I think that
but he was always a great lyricist and songmaker, Mike.
Yeah.
He was both. That's what I'm saying. So the bar work still might be there. The songs just aren't as epic or high level as they used to be. But I told you, Mike, I'm a big fan of the Nick, and I love me some T.I. Like, I don't really have anything negative to say about T.I.'s MC. Like, he's one of those guys that's done it all and like really deserves his respect. It's like he's made like chart-topping hits. He's got great guest appearances. He's got great albums. He's put a lot of dope people on like Dro. He even had 8Ball and MJG in his camp for a minute. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I'm going to say something that might be controversial to others. There's no way I'm putting Kendrick Lamar at this rate ahead of T.I. Too much versatility. Huh?
You're going to get smoke for that.
I'm just keeping it real. Just too many important featured appearances. Too many hardcore hits from a grassroots level. Big records. Great albums. You know what I'm saying? If we look at his album catalog, let's just say trap music, urban legend, let's just say King, and we'll throw Paper Trail in there. That's 4. And then you got the other stuff around it with some solid efforts, not to mention all of the featured appearances that he's done, not to mention the mixtape T.I. how can you? You know what I'm saying? He's covered pretty much everything. He's talked about everything. He has way more versatility as far as like the type of records he can get on than Kendrick. How? I guess because somebody is so artsy fartsy and shit and such a, controversial writer in certain ways, you put them above somebody who's just a dope ass MC.
I would just tell you that I think, okay, see, here would be the toughest thing about that argument for T.I. Because he does have a lot in the bag. It's just that Kendrick's 3 best albums, like you think, what do you think his best album is? Trap Music or King?
I think, in my opinion, it's trap music, but I could see somebody saying King.
So, place those albums next to Pimp a Butterfly.
No, I got
and
you.
Kid, Mad City, and that's the problem that you're going to have.
But that's
Kid,
all
Mad
he
City
has.
beats both of those albums. To Pimp a Butterfly beats both of those albums, and then you still have Damn in Section 80. So it is a problem for T.I. So when you're saying that with the ease that you're saying it, it's like, oh, I don't know about that. That's where, like, how about this? T.I. is one of those guys where Kendrick's album catalog does balance a lot of those scales because his best work is better than T.I.'s best work. As much as I love Tip, like, I'm more partial to trap music than anything Kendrick ever made. But that shit's not better than Good Kid, Mad City.
It's not.
And King's not better than To Pimp a Butterfly. You feel me? And Urban Legend's not better than Damn.
I understand what you're saying.
Where's T.I. going to win the album fight on any sort of level? He's going to lose his 3 best albums to Kendrick's best 3 albums.
But then he got everything else. He has so much.
He's got everything else.
He's got so much.
He don't have no purple tape. You feel what I'm saying? He don't have no purple tape or Iron Man contribution.
I think this is the thing with Kendrick.
Contribution. Like, he's got great contributions. That's why I bring up Ray. No, Ray's got Iron Man, Enter the Wu-Tang, The Infamous, Aquemini, My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy. That's some of the best rap shit ever. T.I. shit is great. It's not like that. You need shit like that to supersede Kendrick because Kendrick's album for album, it's going to be hard for cats to beat Kendrick.
And since we want to have the album conversation that involves music, who do you think has the songs that actually stand the test of time more?
T.I. That's what I mean. No. I'm just telling you, like, it's going to be more competitive, I think, than you think it is.
I think what I'm saying, though, is, man, we got to, somewhere down the line, man, we got to just stop this whole thing that since Kendrick got the albums, that puts him above everything else. Is Kendrick better than LL Cool J then? You know what I'm saying? Like, it's more than just, you know what I mean? Like, it's more than just saying, okay, he got To Pimp a Butterfly, Good Kid, Mad City. Great, but you're not better than LL Cool J.
Okay, so I think the T.I. LL conversations are fair ones to have because both of those guys, like, where do you think of T.I. all time as an MC?
He's a top 20 guy without me thinking,
Without you thinking. And so you feel like Kendrick is a comparative analysis for him though, right? Because I'm starting to feel like just based on,
I don't know.
Just based on the albums and based on some of the rhetoric and some of the dialogue we're having, I think that maybe this is more of a top 20 MC Kendrick conversation than maybe a top 10 one right now.
Oh, definitely.
And so I would probably have LL ahead and him and T.I. in the same realm. How about this? Somebody like Redman and Busta Rhymes, where do you have them in relationship to Kendrick Lamar? Is he ahead of them? Or are they ahead of him? Like, where's Busta Rhymes on this list in relationship to Kendrick Lamar for you? I just want to know so I can know how to gauge your opinions. Let's look at it like this. We're doing a top 10. Here's our top 10. It's Rakim, KRS, Big, Pop, Nas, Jay, Scarface, Ghostface, Ice Cube, Ray. And then we got Black Thought and Jadakiss. So we are 12 deep right there because I don't think you and I think that Kendrick is better than any of those guys. Where does he fall after that? Because then we got LL too. I'm sorry. So that would be 13.
I got Common. Did you say Common?
I didn't. So Common would make 14.
Yeah.
So we're 14 MCs in and Kendrick's not on the board yet. Does he get in? Because then think about it. That leaves a space for 6 MCs. Well, who's getting in? Redman's right there. Busta's right there. We haven't bought up Method Man. We haven't bought up Snoop. We haven't bought up Rick Ross. We haven't bought up T.I. Like, where is he really falling in this spectrum?
Let me get to these super chats real quick, and these are great questions. Jay Short says, I don't think that Jeezy or any of us ever envisioned Ross, Chains, Gibbs, and Gucci surpassing his legacy. He has to feel some kind of way about that. Yeah, I mean, you know what? At the end of the day, those people put in the work. And, and to me, and I say this respectfully, I think they're just better than Jeezy, and think that, the cream rises to the top, as my man Coop would always say. 36 Chambers says, Kendrick may have the classics and the high modern cultural impact, but I ride to T.I. I would listen to T.I. over Dot, and I'm from the West Coast. That's another thing that I think
he doesn't make West Coast music for you to ride to, so I can see why you would feel that way. But again,
that's the
thing. You can ride to T.I.'s music more than K-Dot's.
You know what I was told when we had a meeting with Russell Simmons Music Group back in the day. And I remember one of the representatives there that had a meeting with us telling us, like, you got to make noise in your backyard. Like, you can't just, and I guess that's what the game was at that point, where they were looking for you to go out there and make some noise in the city before you come all the way up here to New York trying to get a situation from us. And so I think when you talk about people that are on our list who are the top of the top, the people in those respected cities fuck with these people heavy. You know what I'm saying? And that goes a long way. That's not something to just, just pass off. Like, let's name the greats. The people in their city rock with them heavy. Common. Chicago rocks with Common heavy. Philly rocks with the Roots heavy. You know what I'm saying? You can't, I'm sorry, man, you can't be top 10, whatever, and the people in your own city ain't even riding to you like that.
They ride to Ice Cube all the time, and Snoop, and Pac, religiously. It's religion.
T.I., what he means to the city of Atlanta.
T.I. probably has gotten more play in pub in this city than any MC has since ever came out of this city, by this city.
He changed the complexity of what rap was in that era for this city. I tell people all the time, man, before this man came along with trap music, people were screaming and yelling on stage like Lil Jon and Pastor Troy. He made people slow it down and actually rap. And even that whole movement that Jeezy was able to, do, which was incredible. That's all because T.I. laid down that foundation for that style in the city.
We talking about this top 20 stuff with Kendrick. We didn't name Cool G rapper Kane yet either.
Yeah. I think it's so difficult when you talk about Kane and Cool G rap. And the thing is, man, we just saw Kane perform live and his longevity. But we talk about his short catalog. But does the longevity of his songs and him as a performer outweigh that? Because, again, we're talking about somebody who was popping for 5 or 7 years in Kendrick, and it sounds like the drop-off is there.
And also, too, and let's keep this in mind, and I say this respectfully, Kane and Cool G Rap are lyrically better than Kendrick. Let's not get that confused. Like, he's the better writer and songmaker. They're the better lyricists. Like, Kane right now is a better lyricist than Kendrick.
Mad Max says, Mike, I like where you're going. I think K-Dot to recent, you got to make that statement like 10 years from now. And no, he is nowhere near LL. LL's top 5. Mad Max also says T.I. and K-Dot in my top 35. Debatable about 20 through 25. Right.
That's what I mean. We ain't bought a Slick Rick either.
I think this is something that we need to really.
What about Rick the Ruler, Mike? Like, because here's the thing. I don't care what you say. It's like, I think The Greatest Adventures of Slick Rick is better than everything Kendrick Lamar made.
Let me ask you this, though. And I know you're a big proponent of Rick Ross and his catalog. We're talking catalog. Is Kendrick Lamar better than Rick Ross?
He is, but that's what I'm saying. Look at the songs.
Is he,
Look at the catalog. That's what I'm saying. It's
what are we holding to the highest? Rappability? Are we talking about catalog of overall music? Are we just talking about individual albums? Are we talking about songs?
It's like he's had a flawless victory record, and now the victories aren't flawless anymore. And so it's like, well, now you get to pick and poke at the flaws. And truthfully, and this is what I mean, the 5 years that he was gone, well, what stuff has lasted that has the most replay value? Because what I would submit to you is that Well, his really only 5 out of 5 of an album is Good Kid, Mad City, because part of a classic to me is that replayability factor, Mike. And it took Mr. Morale coming back for me to appreciate the replayability factor about To Pimp a Butterfly. It didn't change my notions about it. It's just I appreciated the replayability of it more when he made something that wasn't replayable. But Good Kid, Mad City is his only true 5, in my opinion, objectively, sprinkled around a bunch of 4.5s. Like Section 80, 4.5. To Pimp a Butterfly, 4.75. Damn, 4.5. Overly Dedicated, 4.25. You feel me? So it's like, no, he's always there and at a high level, but that classic shit is Good Kid, Mad City. And I've been saying that, Mike, because think about it. You can go, Bitch, Don't Kill My Vibe, Money Trees, Real, The Art of Peer Pressure, Backseat Freestyle. That's his classic shit, Mike. It's all on Good Kid, Mad City.
People are laughing off my Rick Ross notion, but I mean, do y'all understand how many great records that Ross has done?
No.
Like, do y'all? Let me ask people this though, and let's be real here. If Rick Ross was in a versus with Kendrick Lamar, y'all really think Kendrick Lamar is gonna win?
Destroy.
So now, if we're talking about all the other greats, that's not the reality. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you throw Rick Ross and Raekwon in there, Raekwon's winning, right? You throw Rick Ross and Jay-Z in there, Jay-Z's winning. Why is this so different when it comes to Kendrick? So I don't know if we should laugh this off so easy. When you look at everything that Rick Ross has done in totality, outside of just being a rapidy rap nigga, which way are y'all saying that Kendrick's better?
He's not winning the song battle, because I'm going to tell you what, because this is what I mean about about trying too hard and not just rapping. And Leroy Green, I saw your comment. I didn't say Magic was about nothing from the context of it being about nothing. Nas is always talking about something. It's just Magic doesn't have a central theme or talking point, is what I'm saying. It's like, it's magic. You want to know what's magic about it? Nas.
Him rhyming.
Hit Boy. And his rhyming ability. You feel what I'm saying? Yeah. That's not a theme. That's just Nas. It's just better when you can rap. But this is what I'm saying. Let's go to Rather You Than Me. What does Kendrick have for Santorini, Grease, Mike?
I don't know.
You feel me? What are he going to do when Santorini Grease drop? It's like, that's a problem. Idols become rivals.
I would love to do that versus with anybody. Give me Rick Ross and anybody take Kendrick. Go ahead.
I'm not taking Kendrick. No. Mike, Hustling.
I know.
Here I Am.
BMF.
Pick a Maybach, Mike. Pick a Maybach music, Mike.
BMF.
Look, Magnificent with John Legend. Yeah. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I remember that. Super High with Neo.
Mike, let's just go to God Forgives and I Don't. Three Kings, Pirates, Ashamed, Maybach Music 4, the one with Neo. Mm-hmm. That might be the best one. Amsterdam, 16 and 3
Amsterdam might be my favorite Rick Ross song.
Amsterdam might be my favorite Rick Ross song. Mike,
Rich Off Cocaine.
Look, 9/11.
Yeah.
So Sophisticated. This is all one album. We're still on the same album. Mike, Diced Pineapples, 10 Jesus Pieces.
That's the one I was looking for, 10 Jesus Pieces.
Triple Beam Dreams with Nas. About Rich Forever? What about Rich Forever? You know when these records drop, what's going to happen to Kendrick's stuff?
It's going to seem
He's only winning with the Good Kid, Mad City stuff. That's what I keep trying to tell people. It's like you can't take that stuff outside except for Good Kid, Mad City. Like I told you, like, it's cool to burn a little incense, smoke a little weed, and listen to somebody get deep off in their thought. But you know you got to get in your car and ride around. You know these streets is out here, right? You know there's whole stadiums and venues and stuff like where this music need to get played live, right?
Hey,
Good Kid, Mad City's the only album like that.
Hip-hop started out in the park. It didn't start out in the incense store. It just is what it is.
Well, I'm saying, all these hoteps popping up. Kendrick Lamar's the greatest of all time. Though, sit your hotep ass down. Stop encouraging this nigga. Tell this nigga to rap like he's from Compton again.
The Raisin Head said Kane only has 2 to 3 year run. Impact, but short. That's
Impact is forever.
The Impact is kind of forever.
There's no Jay-Z or Biggie Smalls.
Yeah.
So
Mad Max says people got to realize guys like Kane don't need a long career when he literally, along with Rakim and G-Rap, changed how people rap. And the level of impact is, yeah.
That's a very valid point because it's like, well, you rap the way you rap because I exist.
Yeah, it's a little different.
It's a little different.
Well, let's get up out of here, man. Great show. I'm looking forward to the new music that's dropping Friday. We got Lil Baby and Jeezy on tap, and probably a little bit more. But what's that?
Little ATL on Friday.
Yeah. Should be interesting, man. I'm interested to talk about Jeezy on Friday. I'm gonna this is gonna be a great discussion. Because Jeezy has a lot.
My expectations now when it's somebody who I like have personal bias with, and so that's one of those personal biases. So it's like, no, I'll just hear it when I hear it, and we'll see what's what.
All right. Oh, he's talking about Rigor Mortis, Black of the Berry, High Power. I love those records. But if Ross drops a BMF or a Hustlin',
I forgot about BMF.
It's gonna be hard. It's gonna be tough.
Tupac back. Got bangers everywhere, Mike. He's got so many bangers.
Yeah. All right.
Like, for real, Santorini, Greece, Mike, it's a problem.